from the hot air balloon capital of the world. This is Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO Energy, a subsidiary of ExxonMobil. The 48th edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, presented by Canon, is happening now in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And now, live and direct from the rooftop studio at Balloon Fiesta Park, here are the hosts of Balloon Fiesta Live, Glen Moyer and Lloyd Jr.
And good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all of those viewing around the world, and those of you gathered here on the Balloon Fiesta Park field. Excuse me, a bit of a frog this morning. Welcome to
not
Balloon
Special Shape Day.
No, I'm just practicing on my voice.
Welcome
to Balloon Fiesta Live. We're powered by XTO, an ExxonMobil subsidiary. I'm Glen Moyer, as always. Alongside me, my partner is Lloyd Jr. Good morning, Art.
Good morning, Glenn. We're going to have a great day here, I think.
We are, I think so.
It's going to be a great day. I have to tell you, though, when I came into the field about 2 hours ago, the flags right south of us were whipping pretty good, and there was some pretty good gusts south of us at the airport. That has all gone away in the last hour and a half, so it was just right on that edge there, but it gave me just a little scare, but I think it's going to be a great day looking at things now.
We were actually very lucky last night because as you and I were leaving the park right after fireworks last evening,
oh yes,
we actually had some early concern that it would be too windy for the glow. We had a beautiful show last evening, but then just as we were leaving the park, the wind really kicked up, and it was blowing 15, 20 all night long. And I know when I was watching the weather, trying to determine how cold it would be this morning, so what to wear, they had warned there might be some wind chill because there could be some wind issues with the balloons this morning. But conditions right now feel just about perfect.
They are. They feel great out here. We've not got any official word on what is moving forward here. Pilot's briefing starts just as we come on the air here at 6 o'clock every single morning. But just from the early morning radio traffic that I've monitored here, there's no indications that anything is not going to be anything but perfect.
Outstanding. Now this morning, for those of you that maybe aren't familiar with the format here at Balloon Fiesta, we do change format just a wee bit. On the opening weekend, of course, we have those outstanding mass ascensions where everybody launches off the field. It's a great, fun, social type thing.
And we start the whole deal with a Dawn
Patrol show, which is an orchestrated, choreographed show. This morning, there will be some random pilots perhaps flying Dawn Patrol. You can see already on the monitors there and on the field, a few of the balloons are beginning to get cold inflated for Dawn Patrol, but it isn't the orchestrated sponsored show.
Correct.
We only do that on the weekends and on Wednesday morning prior to our Flight of the Nations. So this morning we will have a Dawn Patrol flying. It's just a bit different format with them. Then we go into sort of a mini mass ascension. Pilots that today we start competition. That's where I'm going.
That's where you're headed.
But we do have a number of pilots who do not fly and compete. So Fiesta flyers, if you will.
It's about half and half, actually.
Yeah, they and the special shapes and anyone else that doesn't feel like being involved in the competition, they will launch first off the field. So there is what would normally be a huge mass ascension for any other balloon event.
Yes.
It's about maybe a third to half of the field that we have here.
Still 250, pushing 300 balloons we're going to launch out of here.
Still bigger than any other ballooning event anywhere else you're going to go to. But they will launch off the field and fly away. Then we close down the field, we move the spectators off, we flag off the competition area, and then on a command from our Balloon Meister and safety team, the field is open for competition, and the competitive pilots who will have gone away during that first launch to find their own launch sites outside of and upwind of Fiesta Park, they will launch, fly into the park, where there will be, he said, a number of targets of opportunity for them to throw their markers at, to score points, all leading toward determining who the champion of the 2019 Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta presented by Canon will be. And in a rare and brand new opportunity this year, you're going to be down there amongst dodging all those baggies as they're falling.
We are. As you said, we rope off a target area because once the balloons get to that, they can actually go down to the surface without touching. If they touch the surface, then there's going to be a penalty of some sort.
Right, but they can because they're skim the ground.
Because they're coming in so low there, we have to clear that from spectators and give our scorer team an opportunity to work in there as well. We've always let some photographers and some media folks in there to get pictures with
Right.
spotters. But this year we're going to be able to take our live camera in there, and I'm going to go with it so that we can, because it's kind of far away from us up here on
It
the
is.
tower,
I mean,
on the
Canon,
studio.
every year we've talked about how Canon gives us these great binoculars that helps us from up here to see those targets, but you'll be right down there at the target, be able to see the balloons making the approach, see the throws, and sometimes it's difficult from where we are here on the rooftop studio to see, well, did he actually score or did he almost score? Well, you'll be right there and be able to tell us those things today.
Should be able to, give you all that information. So we'll have Ruth Lynn with us this morning, finding us some interviews, but then about 8 o'clock, again, Mountain Time, local time for us, we'll switch gears here and go from the fun flight to the competition, even though competition at Balloon Fiesta is usually still pretty fun.
It's still kind of fun, although it's a little more serious now than it used to be. There were times when competition here was as much fun, if maybe not more, than the mass ascensions, because we dropped things like tumbleweeds, film boxes, beach balls, ping pongs. I mean, you name it. If you could drop it from a balloon, we've probably done it at some point in time. But over the last several years, we've finally gotten a little serious, and we do run the competition now up to standard rules with the standard weighted markers and that sort of thing. So
standard tasks that you would see at nationals and things like that.
Yeah. And because there's significant prize money to be awarded to these pilots. And of course, we have Moyer, the two-time reigning Balloon Fiesta champion, is hoping for a three-peat, and you've had a chance to talk with Moyer this week, I know already, and said that he's pretty pumped up. He's ready to go for a third time.
He's ready to defend and get the three-peat. He is.
Outstanding. And then, of course, once we take that short break between, as we clear the field and from
reset it, if you will.
Reset the field, that's a good word, from the launch this morning to competition, we'll cut Ruth Lynn free at that point because she has some other responsibilities besides Balloon Fiesta Live.
She does. She's the head of the command center for the America's Challenge Gas Balloon Race, which is scheduled to go off.
Scheduled to launch tonight. Yep.
There is a final supplemental briefing scheduled at 1 o'clock for them, but they are cleared to start setting their equipment up at 2 o'clock here this afternoon.
Okay.
The truck with the hydrogen gas will be here somewhere between 4 and 5. The plan is to be able to make gas, the hydrogen, available to balloons, to pilots to start filling their envelopes at 5:30. We'll be on the air at 6:30. Again, all this is Mountain Time.
Right.
So you'll get to do the conversion there. But 6:30 is our normal evening time anyway.
Yes.
So at our normal time, we'll be on. And so we'll be able to see some balloons still going through the inflation process, and then we're going to carry it live through all 9 balloon launches.
Right.
So you'll get to see part of the inflation and all of the launches by tuning in tonight at 6:30 Mountain Time to Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO, an ExxonMobil subsidiary, of course, through the balloonfiesta.com page, through Facebook or YouTube. We will bring it to you live. And if you are in the Albuquerque area or even Santa Fe or somewhere around, admission to the park tonight is free. Free
That's
parking,
right.
Free admission. We're asking that you come in off of Balloon Fiesta Parkway, which is basically the north entrance. So coming in off of I-25, Alameda Tramway through San Mateo. If you're locally, those mean something to you.
Right.
If you're in Switzerland, don't worry about it. So, and thanks Switzerland for tuning in this morning. We appreciate that, as well as Mexico and the number of other countries that have done that.
Yeah, I've heard from my good friend Diane McKee down in New Zealand, and
there
she
you
said
go.
hi this morning already.
Great. So if you're around, boy, it's a great way to come out, and if you've never seen a gas balloon launch, that is something not 100% different, but significantly different than a hot air.
And I was going to
inflation.
go there because as you were talking about the inflation and the balloons able to put their equipment out about 2 o'clock, in the old days when we all flew, I never flew gas balloons, but when the pilots all flew netted balloons,
yes,
it could take quite some time to get the balloons rigged and inflated. It was a very slow, it was the old one diamond down process.
Right.
And now most of the pilots, I think there may still be one netted balloon.
I think we have one netted coming in tonight's event.
Most of the pilots nowadays fly what they call quick fill balloons, and so the process isn't a great deal the actual just inflation is not a great deal longer than it is with a hot air balloon.
For the quick fills.
For the quick fills, right.
Right.
And so the process, so you don't have to start at 10 o'clock in the morning with sandbags and all that stuff that we used to. Again, we, meaning the gas pilots.
I did that a couple of years, crewing for some pilots that did that with netted balloons.
I've never done that. I've always thought it would be great to go on a gas chase, but the only gas race that I'm ever around is this one.
Right.
And I have other responsibilities here, so I don't get a chance to do that. But someday I'd love to do a long distance. I've done a few world record chases with my dear friend Dr. Bill Bussey, and manned his command center a few times and those sorts of things, but never actually gotten out and done one of those 2 or 3 day gas balloon chases, which must be really thrilling.
My friends Barbara Fricke and Peter Cuneo, of course, fly gas balloons,
right.
And a year or so ago they actually gave a few gas lessons to some folks, and so I did manage to get out on I wouldn't really call it a chase, I would call it a retrieve, because we were expecting them to fly a little bit longer than they did, and all of a sudden we got the call and they said, we're going to land here in the next couple of hours. So it was, quick, get in the truck and get after them and drive to West Texas to be able to pick them up. But it was kind of interesting because the balloon's not standing there. You don't really know where they are. You've got some GPS tracking information. And then they're in the middle of this, the probably 5 miles between road and other road, and they're in the middle of this square to try and find a way into that, and the landowner and all that kind of stuff. So
I see, I was just checking our Facebook feed, and I see one comment there, a lady saying that the YouTube feed is not up, and it is? Okay.
There was some people complaining about some buffering issues on YouTube, and that's not on our end, that I can tell. Because all the feeds have been pretty solid from here.
Okay.
I've checked all the others, but there were some complaints yesterday about buffering on their ends. I heard that from a few folks. Not sure where that's happening. It's not happening on our end that we can tell.
Okay, and just so you know, Art is the executive producer of Balloon Fiesta Live, so he's the guy who knows all those sort of things. I'm just the guy that talks a lot. And Art keeps us all together as a team and organizes all of this and does a great job doing that. So
and the guy who goes home and makes sure that the links are all there.
Right, and checks all the viewer numbers and everything else that's involved.
You know, we're pushing 250,000 viewers already, 240,000
wow.
Just 4 events.
Outstanding.
It's great. Thank you all for tuning in and for sharing our streams.
Yeah, and someone else here says YouTube depending on their end, and that was my suspicion, is perhaps it's the Wi-Fi connection at their end that may be causing the speed of their Wi-Fi connection that might be causing the buffering issues.
Could be. Hey, as we've seen, we've got our Dawn Patrol balloons up. Again, not the show here this morning. One of the pilots that participates in the Dawn Patrol show is Rick Jones.
Yeah.
Ruth Lind has managed to catch up with him. Ruth?
I have managed to catch up with Rick. Rick is a good friend of mine from up in the Northeast. Rick's from New Hampshire. Rick, you've been flying Dawn Patrol for a lot of years. Tell me why.
I love it. You get to take off for everybody else. There's no lines, no waiting, and it's beautiful up in the air. It's just so beautiful watching the world wake up and the sun come up.
It truly is. I have a very serious question for you, Rick. What time do you have to get up to be here to fly Dawn Patrol?
3:30 in the morning.
Wow. I'll let you get back to your work. Thank you so much, Rick, and have a great flight.
All right, thanks, Ruth.
Thanks, Ruth.
I did think I saw Rick's balloon as we were tossing to, and that's it right there in the center.
There
he is, lighting up right there.
Lighting up, yeah. Yeah, Rick is a regular of our Dawn Patrol show and also a past president of the Balloon Federation of America. Rick was president way back, it seems a long time ago, back in 2001 when I came on board as editor of Ballooning magazine. Ruth, of course, is my predecessor as editor of Ballooning, and so we share that in common. And Rick was our boss. Well, actually, I guess he never was Ruth's because he became president when I came on board. But and still contributes to the magazine. In fact, Rick is just going to renew. He wrote a column for us for a while, looking at balloon technology and touring the various ballooning manufacturers and those sorts of things. And he's going to start renewing that column coming up in the next issue. As a matter of fact, we're going to be looking at a new Flytech instrument that has just come out. So glad to have Rick coming back and contributing some technical articles to Ballooning magazine. Ballooning, if I can get a quick plug-in, is the official publication of the Balloon Federation of America. BFA is the official club, organization, whatever you want to call it, for balloonists across the United States. And you don't have to be a balloon pilot or even crew. All you have to do is love balloons to be involved and to join. And you can find out all about how to do that. $35 a year gets you an e-membership where you can read the magazine online. $55 and you get a hard copy, along with a number of other great member benefits, including an event calendar, so you can find out where ballooning events are all around the country at any given time. And you can find out all about that on our website at www.bfa or balloonfederationamerica.net.
I'm hearing our Dawn Patrol folks on the radio calling for some sort of burn, all burn.
I heard a
flicker.
countdown going on there.
Yeah. And looking out there, that is actually most of the balloons out there are part of our Dawn Patrol show.
Well, I was going to say,
the whole,
I see Michael Scott there from Oklahoma City. Isn't that detailer, I think, in the
red, white, and blue
red, white, and blue, the American flag themed balloon?
And we've been announcing Greg Lindsay is flying Lucky Duck,
Just Ducky.
Just Ducky.
Yeah.
And actually, the balloon he actually brought is Floating Oasis, and that's the one with the palm tree and the
and the
scene
saguaro
on
cactus
it there
and all.
as well.
Well, I thought Just Ducky was a weird name for that balloon, but who am I to judge?
Well, and it took me till this morning to actually get around to looking up what the real name. Somebody actually mentioned it on Facebook, of course, the other day.
Yeah.
And so I finally got around to actually checking it out, making sure. And there he is, airborne now,
He's
Greg
just
Lindsay
airborne,
from Safford, Arizona.
And there goes Michael Scott out of Oklahoma City.
Oh, they're all getting off. Look at that all at the same time. Yeah.
Kind of a synchronized launch there.
There you go. So usually we're taking them off one at a time or from each end as well. And so the idea here, get them all airborne at the same time.
Look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great picture that is.
You can't fly in formation without the express cooperation of all the pilots, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole regulation about formation flying. And but we're pulling that off here this morning.
Look at that shot with the museum in the background. We're actually up in that picture there somewhere too.
Yep. Kind of the lights to the left of the Balloon Museum. We're right in there. They're going to do an all burn here.
There they go. I think actually you're right. I think all of those pilots are members of our regular
team,
Dawn Patrol show team. So well done them. Sometimes there are other pilots who join them that come out during the week and fly Dawn Patrol, but are not part of the regular show. But yeah. That's always a great spectacle here.
My experience talking to the Dawn Patrol pilots is once they start doing this, they're hooked. Kind of like Rick was talking about, there's no lines, no waiting for launch directors. You're up early, and you're the first ones back for propane, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and the first ones to breakfast as well. Good morning, Linda.
There you go.
Linda Powell-Scartis says hello. And I was saying yesterday, I think, years ago when I used to do a ballooning event up in Danville, Illinois, we actually, for a couple of years, that event was always kind of on the cutting edge of doing things unique and different, and we actually ran a Dawn Patrol competition for a couple of years where we launched as a Dawn Patrol, but you had to fly to a target as a part of the Dawn Patrol flight and then on to landing, of course. And I didn't pilot in it because I was I was the announcer for the event. But I was able to fly it one year with my good friend Johnny Lewis. He and I flew together, and that was quite unusual. We did that event did a lot of unique things. We had a Dawn Patrol competition for a couple of years. Then we had what was called the Night Riders. The event took place on a big airport, and so we had a handful of balloons that went like a mile away from the airport and launched at night, like when we do our balloon glows.
Right.
Well, they would launch about well after dark and then fly in and land at the airport in front of the crowd. We called it the Night Riders. Quite unusual.
Look! You have to look up. We're looking at just one balloon on the feed, but if we pull back on that, you see the entire group of 5 of them. I guess there's 4. One's off just a little bit.
One's off just to the side.
But all of them right together there.
Yeah.
Isn't that there's 5
There's
in that
5
group,
there, and the 6th is
the
just
6th
off
is off.
to the
That's
left,
where it is, yeah.
Yep, they're all just hanging there together.
That's fabulous.
Gary using those turning vents, his balloon. What did you say the name of it was? Something
Flying Oasis.
Flying.
Like flying away.
Oh, Flying Oasis. Okay,
yes.
I got you.
Yeah.
He's using his turning events. And,
as is Tim
in
the Stars and Stripes.
Yeah, I see Tim now. Yeah, and so the balloon is actually spinning at the same time that they're flying away from us. That's pretty awesome. It's hard to look up and do that because we have to shade the
shade
TV
the light here, but
because we have obviously.
So here's another thing that has happened here. They laid out expecting to go from south to north, but they're drifting to the south.
They're coming.
So
to the
that
south,
tells
yeah.
me that wind I saw from the south, they saw that too, expected it to stay. It's gone away, and now we're seeing that drainage wind.
That's
which is our
typical pattern.
North to south.
North to south drainage out of the canyons.
Yeah.
And that should portend good things for the rest of the morning then if we have
I believe it will. And we always say, oh, the Dawn Patrol goes up to check the winds to make sure it's good for everybody else.
Right.
They've already had some indication about
You don't.
although it's really nice to verify. What's going on.
Yeah. Well, and as a Dawn Patrol, you don't jump up into the dark sky not knowing what the winds are doing. That would be the height of stupidity, really.
Well, you're required. Remember the rule there. The regulation is you have to have all available information, which includes weather, before you can make a flight.
That's right.
So
Deborah Parr is asking, is the Lady Jester there this year? Yes, she is. We've shown Lady Jester several times on the screen, on the feed, so they are here. Judy Cass. Good morning, Judy. Nice to hear from you.
Hi, Judy. So they are drifting off to the southeast, but look up high though. He's stopped. Up high they've stopped, so that the other part of the typical pattern here is that north to south flow for the first few hundred feet, and then a little higher than that and back to the north. And one of them is already up in that where he's kind of parked up there. The others are starting to climb up there. So we could have a box shape up today.
That would be especially fun for competition when that happens, because we've had days when we've sat here and watched Joe Hartzell make 5, 6, 7 approaches to the target, almost like flying on a Ferris wheel as he just goes round and round until he gets to where he wants to be.
And it's always kind of fun. He's coming in, he's coming in, he's coming in, he's coming in. Oops, he's going around again.
Yeah.
He's coming in, he's coming in. Oops, he's going around again.
He's Hartzell, of course, a 5-time Joe, a 5-time national champion, and just one of the top competitors that we have here. Lewis Hill asking earlier, saying he's getting some great screenshots, and we noticed yesterday people are grabbing screenshots from their tablets, their computers, whatever it may be you're watching on, and then posting them to social media. And we love that, because when you do that, we have our little Balloon Fiesta Live bug down in the left corner of the screen as you're looking at the feed. And so when you're posting that, you're helping really to spread the word about Balloon Fiesta Live. Of course, you can share the link to the feed if you're interested in doing that, to let other folks know they can tune in around the world. But as Art was saying, already nearing 250,000 views just after the first 2 days of Fiesta.
I guess ABC was showing some video on the first day out here.
Well, I saw some of it yesterday on the air.
Yesterday as well?
Yeah.
And so they posted some on Facebook, so I went into their post and I tagged and said, you can watch it commercial free and all, in its entirety by checking us out on balloonfiesta.com.
The danger about this, a quick war story. Years ago when I was a television reporter in Beaumont, Texas, I used to go to a racetrack there, and CBS News had a deal where they paid field reporters to shoot, to film or video and feed stories into what was called a regional feed, and then they sent your story out to other CBS affiliates around the country. Well, I got into going out and covering these USAC and NASCAR races back early in the day in the 70s, and every weekend, and I would both be the photographer and the reporter.
Sure.
And I'd make about $300 a week extra doing that by feeding up to CBS News, and eventually my reports became so popular, CBS started staffing the race. So I put myself out of a good gig. So we may have to be careful about how well we do this, because we may end up having, I could see Good Morning America coming down and anchoring for a week from down here.
Well, I always thought that even our local TV stations will come out and do live shows out here.
They do, sure.
And I always thought that the one thing that they were missing was the balloon expert. Remember the early days of NASA? They had Walter Cronkite and all those guys.
Wally Schirra was always there,
They always brought one of the astronauts over
Yep.
to be able to give the color, the background, the information. And that, to me, is one of the things that sets Balloon Fiesta Live apart from every other broadcast that you can watch.
I would agree.
We're both balloonists. We're both broadcasters. We can bridge the gap and cover the entire thing. We know most of these guys and gals, so we have that information to share with you that you're not going to get from the broadcast TV folks.
That's true. So hopefully we do provide some insight as well as into not only what's happening and how the balloons are being flown, but also into some of the personalities, because between the two of us, we know most of the pilots that are out here on a very individual basis, and
can read what's happening in the weather and what they're doing and be able to describe that situation.
Yeah.
So, not to pat ourselves on the back, but but that's what you're going to get here on Balloon Fiesta Live that you're not going to get anywhere else.
From ABC or whoever else might be doing the broadcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, we couldn't be able to do Balloon Fiesta or Balloon Fiesta Live for that matter without sponsors. And of course, we like to take care of our sponsors here at Balloon Fiesta. And Ruth Lind, who is another balloon pilot who knows a lot of people as well.
And also has a broadcasting background as well.
Exactly. She's managed to check out what's going on at Sponsor Hospitality down there. Ruth?
Good morning. Well, I am so happy to be here with Barb Curry of Sponsor Hospitality. Now, every year, Barb and her crew are here making all of our sponsors, all of our guests feel so welcome. She is one of the happiest people I've ever met. Barb, tell me about some of your more interesting experiences over there.
We love all our foreign pilots. They're the best. But we have a language barrier, so they have to, act out what they want from us. That's always fun. And, we're not always the brightest early in the morning.
Well, sometimes you, I know that a lot of times you wear some pretty outlandish costumes in Sponsor Hospitality. How do your foreign guests react to that?
They love them. They love our 50s. They dance with us. The clowns, they clown with us. So they love them.
And you were telling me that for the 50th anniversary of Fiesta, you have a very special costume day planned.
Yes. We're bringing back the Wizard of Oz.
And you're Dorothy?
No. Blair is Dorothy.
Blair is
Dorothy. Okay, so for those of you who don't know Blair is a very tall gentleman, and he is not at all built like Judy Garland.
And he has size 13 ruby slippers.
Oh my goodness, size 13 ruby slippers. Well, Barb, I know you have guests waiting for you. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you. Welcome.
Back upstairs, guys.
Thanks, Ruth. Thanks,
Ruth.
Barb.
Blair in size 13 ruby slippers. I'm not sure I want to see that.
Yeah. Okay.
Goodness.
Well, we told you there was going to be big and wonderful things happening in 2 years for the 50th.
Well, yeah, Blair is not tiny.
No.
We were actually commiserating because he just had knee replacement on one of his knees and has another one to be done, and I'm looking at the same issues. So we were commiserating with each other earlier this week, but he does a great job working with Sponsor Hospitality downstairs, and one of the great many people that, for me particularly, you live here, I don't, and I travel into Albuquerque. I was posting just the other day, I've spent over a year of my life here now, but 2 weeks at a time, 2 weeks a year for 30 years now. And over that time, you develop bonds and great friendships, and it's a bit like, for me, coming to a family reunion, because this is the only time of year when I see people like Laurie, our sponsor representative downstairs, and all of that staff, and the many members of the board. We saw Ty last night at dinner. And it's kind of like coming and seeing all your aunts and uncles and cousins that you only get to see once a year when the family gets together. That's kind of what coming to Balloon Fiesta is for me, and it's great fun to come and renew those friendships and see old friends and make new ones every year.
That's the way it is. It's a great big family. As you said, like a big old reunion. And it's nice. You're right. I get to see some, but while we have a few hundred balloon and balloon pilots and crews here in Albuquerque. There are literally thousands around the country and around the world, and some of those I only get to see when I get out here at Balloon Fiesta, or if I get to some of the other balloon rallies as well.
Well, and they were, Ruth was talking about the international pilots, and a lot of them are our friends as well, but we only get to see them sometimes. Benny Voss, for example, our good friend over in the Netherlands, he's not here this year.
Right.
But usually when he comes, we get a chance to visit with him, and there are others that we see only during that time, so it is a bit like a big family reunion. Lisa Carr was asking, outside of Ballooning Magazine, are there other websites or books we should look at to learn more about ballooning? Well, there is, of course, balloonfiesta.com. Not a bad place to start. There's a ton of books out there. I couldn't even begin to name them all for you. But yes, there are many, many books out there that you could find.
If I could go back to balloonfiesta.com, if you look under the volunteer section, that's where we have all of our volunteer training videos.
Oh, excellent.
And so that would be the exact spot to go. I mean, there's videos there on gas ballooning and on hot air ballooning. Some of the things you probably don't necessarily want to know about public safety here at the field and stuff like that. But all of those videos, which are training videos for our navigators, which are our volunteers, they're all available for you to watch. You don't have to take the quiz at the end.
Well, and of course you can also go to the BFA website.
That's another place.
BFA.net. And likewise, we do an annual online safety seminar for our pilots, which may be a little more detailed for someone who's just looking at getting into the sport. But there are a great many videos available there that deal with pilot decision making, with weather, flight safety, et cetera, et cetera. Those things are all available. So yeah, there's just get online and start Googling, and you'll come across any number of resources.
Yeah, hot air ballooning clubs is another place.
Yeah, there
to
are regional clubs all around the country. The largest, of course, is right here in Albuquerque, the Albuquerque Aerostat Ascension Association,
which you'll never find if you search for. So just go for hotairballooning.org.
Right. But also known as the Quad A, because it's easier to say. But there are, and again on the BFA website, there is a listing of the regional balloon clubs around the country, so you could look.
Oh, that's right. It is there. Yeah.
If there is a club that might be near you, and that's how I got started. I was living in Texas at the time, and my wife at the time brought home a magazine that had an article about the local balloon festival. And after I read the article, I started going through the phone book and looking up the names of pilots that were quoted in the article and calling them up. And I got a hold of a gentleman named Joe Calabretti, and I said, Joe, you don't know me from Adam, but I'm kind of crazy about balloons. How do I get involved? And he invited me to a club meeting, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, lots of ways you can find out about ballooning.
So we are seeing some other balloons start to set up on the field here. I saw Dave Eichhorn with Marauder's Mark flying the Visit Albuquerque banner. There's one of our foreign balloons. I'm not reading that registration number upside down here, but FZ.
Looks like CFZXQ. One
So-
other, while you're looking that up, one other quick thing, Lisa, someone else just made the comment on Facebook. Another great way to get involved in ballooning is if there is a balloon festival in or around your particular area, volunteer to crew. Pilots who come to ballooning events around the country are usually always in need, and events always need volunteer crew people. You don't have to know anything about ballooning. Most events will have some sort of training for you.
Yep.
And if not, the pilots will teach you a little bit as you go. The work is not strenuous. Anyone that's in reasonably good physical condition can do it, of all ages. Pilots are generally very welcoming for any type of help they can get. And that's a great way to get involved in the sport and start to meet some of the people involved, see what it's all about. It's the great thing about ballooning, it is a very social activity for friends and family. So thank you for mentioning that. I've lost who it was that suggested that. But yes, volunteering to crew, if there's a ballooning event near you, is another great way to get involved in the sport.
There we go. Speaking of crew, there they are. There's about 6 of them standing around that particular truck. The pilot off at pilot briefing. I think that's still underway out there. Yeah, it looks like it still is.
Looks like it, yeah.
And so the crew left behind here, they don't need to hear all the details of the weathers and those types of things. But the pilots are getting that, and the crew's going to rig this up. I think this is our officials. I'm going to let you chat
sure,
here.
Go right ahead. And so, crewing is a great way to get involved in the sport. And as I say, it's open to anyone. All ages are typically welcome. And even if there's not a ballooning event near you, another way to find a pilot near you, look in the, well, maybe I'm dating myself now, but if you still use a phone book, who among us does, But there was a time when you could look in the Yellow Pages under manned balloons. That's actually a category in the Yellow Pages. And if there's a balloon operator near you, they typically will advertise there. But also you could just Google hot air balloons in your neighborhood, in your region, and find if there's a balloon operator, maybe a ride operator, maybe just a sport pilot near you. Balloonists we're not introverts. We tend to be outwardly looking folks, and welcome and love making new friends. So just find a pilot in your area and get in touch. So while we're checking on pilot briefing, Ruth has lined up another interview with, I believe they tell us, Alan Tetrault.
Al and Alan is what I heard.
Al and Alan.
Yep.
Okay.
Take it away, Ruth.
Thanks. Yes, I have Al Tetrault, who actually started the public safety program here at Balloon Fiesta, and his son Alan, who now runs public safety. This is quite a dynasty here. Yeah. Now, Alan, you were telling me earlier that with the new security measures in place, people can keep a few things in mind to make their entry into Balloon Fiesta a little easier.
Yeah, what we would like our public to do, and all our guests that are coming to enjoy the Fiesta, is limit the number of items you're trying to carry onto the field. We have to go through metal detectors now, and we have a lot of guards that are screening our guests. But we're actually asking that if you limit your backpacks and your carrying items, that it'll make the screening process go a lot faster.
That's great. Now, Al, you started public safety 29 years ago. How did that all come about, and what has been the evolution of the public safety program here at Balloon Fiesta?
Well, I was a police officer. I was a lieutenant in charge of traffic for Albuquerque Police Department. So when I retired, that gave me free time. And so I joined the board of directors at that time, and they asked me to put together a professional outfit as far as public safety went. And that's how it basically started. The public safety, when I first started, consisted of a guy with a .45 caliber on his hip and a fire extinguisher on his back. And so it's evolved to what it is today, one of the safest places in New Mexico.
Now, you said it's evolved to what it is today. What is that exactly? Give us an idea of the scope of public safety at today's Balloon Fiesta.
So today we have a huge force of state, local, city, county, tribal, and federal law enforcement and response individuals that are all part of our team. We work under the FEMA construct of the command structure that we work within, and it's evolved into a force that is ready for any emergency. And we have teams that are specialized tactical teams. We have teams that are actual dedicated to certain missions out here, and the way we are broke up and the way we're specialized, it makes us come together and all complement each other really well.
Well, we all so greatly appreciate the service that you all provide to us here at Fiesta, and it's very comforting knowing how safe we are here at our favorite balloon event. So thank you both.
Thank you.
And Glen and Art, you can safely go back to your broadcast now.
We're
glad to hear that.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you, Ruth. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. You're watching Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO, a subsidiary of ExxonMobil. I'm Glen Moyer. Beside me, my colleague,
Lloyd Jr.
And just a quick word. I don't want to keep delving into this, or dwelling on it, I guess I should say, but Lisa Carr was the lady who asked about how to get involved and learn about ballooning, and she's just sent back great ideas. Thanks so much. I found the New Jersey balloon event online, and we'll look at volunteering there.
Perfect.
So, perfect. There you
Thanks
go.
for the question, Lisa.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa.
You bet. And glad that I saw some other folks post some things about other books and things that might be out there. So just keep watching the comments on our feed here on Facebook, and that will, I'm sure you'll get some other great ideas there as well.
Yeah, she just commented that she understands that sailing or ballooning is a lot like sailing, involving winds, et cetera, and would love to know more about that. And that's very true.
That's exactly.
And we'll no doubt be talking about that, especially some today during competition, as we start to talk more about the maneuvering that the pilots are doing, trying to work their way to the targets and how they're working the winds. The one thing you can't do in ballooning is we can't tack against the wind as you can in sailing by moving the sail. We do travel with the wind, but the secret is to that the wind blows in different currents at different altitudes, and that's why you see people always ask, why are the balloons going up and down?
Right.
Well, it's because the air is moving in different directions at different altitudes, and the object is to put your balloon into that current of air that will take you in the direction you want to go.
Well, we
It's
saw
just
the
that
Dawn
simple.
Patrol show balloons the Dawn Patrol balloons take off this morning. They drifted south for probably they were up about 400 feet
About
or
that,
below.
yeah, I think
and
so.
once they got above that, they went back to the north. So they were south of us, went back, they were north of us, although it also took them farther to the east. And I'm looking through the windows. We can't get there's some of them there, but from
I
a
can see one
direction
now.
standpoint, they are now due east of us again.
Yeah.
So this is the second pass, although it's kind of rolling over towards the mountains a little bit.
Yeah, moving back over toward the foothills there of the Sandias and over into more of the residential area than what we are in here at Balloon Fiesta Park.
So I see that Dave Eichhorn has stood up his balloon. The Morator's mark, that's the yellow with the white, and we saw it in the inflation. We saw the Visit Albuquerque sponsor banner on the side of that as well. And that one that we were looking for before, I should have known as soon as it popped up, it's one of our Rainbow Riders commercial ride balloons because they will be taking off from the field here as well.
Okay, sure, that makes sense. And unfortunately, for those of you that might be looking for balloon rides, they were sold out, all 14 events, prior to the start of Fiesta.
So I'm thinking Dave must be the balloon of the day.
That was, I was about to ask, does that
Yeah.
mean he's balloon of the day? Because he is down near the front of the stage.
And he's the only one up, and the first one up is usually the balloon of the day. And we're only about 4 minutes away from the national anthem, so he should be getting ready to go from the main stage, carrying the flag out of here to get us kind of officially started. We have so many different starts, it seems like. Which one is the official
Right.
and which one is which?
The one person here asking, Kathy Heyman asking, do pilots need so many hours or requirements to attend AIVF? You would know that better than I. I haven't registered as a pilot here in quite a few years. I know at one time I had a famous conversation where there was a discussion about should Fiesta have like a 100-hour minimum for pilots to enter, and the view of the board at that time, as it was explained to me, was no, because if the FAA says you're qualified to fly a balloon, then you're qualified to fly a balloon. So as long as you had your pilot certificate, you could fly as a novice. I know I made my first flight here at Balloon Fiesta with only about 30 hours of flight time in my logbook.
I think that's about what mine was, and that conversation I think comes back around every year.
I'm sure
and
it
the
does.
answer still is no. There's
No.
not a minimum.
Because there are events that do require a minimum number of hours for you to register as a pilot.
There are some questions that pilots get asked about flying. How many balloons have you flown around? It's kind of like, have you flown at an event where there's been more than 30 balloons?
Right.
Have you flown at altitude? Remember, we're a mile above sea
That's
level.
right, we're a mile
and
high here.
The altitude affects the way your balloon performs and
Yes.
how you fly it. So there's some questions about your experience level in addition to the hours. And what we've put in place is kind of a pilot mentor program. So that if you're on the lower end of experience here and you've never been here before, we'll accept you and hook you up with someone who has been here for a while
okay.
to help you understand what it's like to fly at altitude, what it's like to fly with a number of balloons in very close proximity to you. So to kind of help you through that process. And sometimes you'll be the second person on the balloon, sometimes you'll be the primary here, but we'll hook you up with somebody to help you get through that. This is interesting. Do you see?
I
Are you
was
looking
gonna
at
say,
this?
Yeah, they're putting fairy lights around the balloon, or they're taking them down.
They might be taking them down from
maybe
the glow
from the glow
night.
last night. Yeah, that's. I thought for a moment they were putting them up, but it appears now they're taking them down. Because I thought, well, that's interesting. Who's going to have little fairy lights on their balloon this morning?
But we are seeing a number of our balloons pilots getting their balloons set up, and I think we're starting to see a number of the trucks leave. That always panics people.
Yeah,
where are they going? Where are they
Why are the
going?
balloons leaving? Yeah, it's just the competitors going out because they have to go out and find a launch site from which to fly in when we start the competition later this morning. Good morning, Pauline Baker. Pauline is watching from the Emerald Isle from Ireland. She's normally here with us, but with, not to get into politics, but with Brexit and all of the uncertainty that's bringing to their part of the world, she and Malcolm Light haven't had to stay home to take it. They run a balloon ride business there in Trim in Ireland, and so they're having to stay home to deal with a lot of paperwork and issues like that with Brexit looming and changing the regulation scene over there perhaps. So Pauline is not here with us, but she is watching. So good morning, Pauline.
Good morning.
Had a chance to spend a lovely day with them when I was over in Ireland just last month. They took me around.
Yeah.
They actually get to launch off of the grounds of a very historic castle there at Trim. In fact, it's the castle that was used in the movie Braveheart.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for our national anthem, sung by Kat Podrell. Our balloon of the day, Dave Eichhorn. You'll direct your attention to the stage for our national anthem. Kat Podrell, our national anthem. Dave Eichhorn with Marauders Mark taking the colors airborne, and a number of burners saluting that. That's also the indication that you can start your inflator fans. And did you hear them start up?
Yeah, that's kind of our start your engine, gentlemen start your engines.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, in fact, look at there. There you go. There's some of our Rainbow Riders. They already have a little bit of air already in them. Look at the crowd out there. It's going to be a fabulous day here.
Good crowd for a Monday morning. On Monday, of course, a lot of the locals always have to go back to work.
Yeah.
Which on the one hand makes getting into Fiesta Park a little bit easier. Although on the other hand, not so easy because there's still a lot of local traffic. But we do get started fairly early in the morning.
Those souls that do have to go to work.
Yeah, those poor souls that do have to work, unfortunately.
Hey, there went our Balloon Fiesta Live truck across the
I saw that. Photobombing our own video today.
So this would be a great time to talk about a balloon because now we're seeing the yellow. That's the main part of the fabric of the envelope. And the red is the parachute top.
Right.
And we've talked about that a few times. That's what is connected to a rope that goes all the way to the bottom of the balloon. They're going to go and tab that in. Put these little Velcro tabs in. There's one guy on either side. Here comes someone to kind of help do that. And that's just going to hold that top in while they fill it up with cold air.
Right.
Once the balloon stands up, they're going to pull that parachute top down just a little bit, pull all those tabs loose, and the hot air, the air pressure, will push it right back up against those white load tapes and keep it in place.
It reseats it. And you do that to check to make sure that the vent is working prior to getting in the air, because you don't want to get up in the air and realize that for some reason your vent isn't working and you don't have a deflation port.
And we see the referee, the stripes, the
Those are
zebra.
Our zebras, depending on where you are in the world.
They are our launch directors.
They are.
Officially, they are the launch directors. You can't launch from the field here without the approval. A thumbs up is the signal from our launch directors. So they are looking to make sure, one, that you're ready, two, that there is no overhead traffic, that you're clear to launch. You know, if you think about this, putting 500 balloons up in the space of a couple of hours, that's a very busy airport.
It is.
So they're kind of our air traffic controllers.
Yeah. I was going to say that was a great shot there because you could see what was happening at the other end.
Yes.
We're looking again at where you can see that parachute top. To see how it's tabbed in, you can see it's connected to the envelope every couple of gores, but you can see through, you can see the spacing, and that's because at the moment it's just held in place by those Velcro tabs. Once the balloon is filled with air, the air pressure will help to push it in place and fill that hole. We could see, though, in that other shot a moment ago, down at the inflator end, the other end of the balloon, where they're using the inflator fan to put air into the envelope to fill it up. And so you got a chance to see. Not blow it up, fill it up or inflate it. But you could see kind of what happens at both ends of the balloon during the course of the inflation. Up at the top, you're tabbing in the Velcro top and getting the crown line secured and making sure everything's clear up there. That's what we see there. There's that shot again of the guys working on the crown, the parachute top, where that red portion of that yellow balloon is.
Interesting how the red seems to be sealing a little bit better than the multicolor one on the left of the screen. You get those gaps hanging over there, and that's just kind of the way the number of tabs the manufacturer.
I was going to say, different manufacturers. Some put a tab on every gore, some put them on every other.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. I can remember actually one of the demonstrator balloons that I had at Thunder and Colt when I worked there. We had a real problem with the top wouldn't seal right, and we went through machinations trying to, do we add more Velcro, do we take Velcro off, or do we put it in a different position, and sometimes there is some experimentation that has to be done in that regard. But typically, different manufacturers will put the tabs are sometimes different sizes. They'll be in different places. There'll be more on some models than others. So that could be why we saw that difference in the way those two tops were seating.
Well, then there's all the centering lines on the other side of the top as well. There's all these lines that come down from those tabs that kind of converge in one place to come to the rope that gets all the way down. In building those experimental balloons on the little one hopper that we've done, we went through retying those lines about 8 times to get them exactly right, and so that everything was not only seating well, like you were talking about, but that it would all pull nicely as well and centered.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Ruth Lind has another interview down on the field, and she has caught up to longtime veteran pilot Sean Askren. So, Ruth, take it away.
Good morning. Yes, I have here with me Sean Askren, who's the pilot of the Intel balloon. Now, Sean, before we talk about Intel, I want to ask you, how many years have you been flying at Balloon Fiesta?
This is my 32nd year at Fiesta.
As a pilot?
As a pilot, yes.
That's just terrific. Now let's talk a little bit about Intel and Intel's support of this event.
Intel is an outstanding sponsor. They put so much into their effort of bringing the balloon out and bringing their crew out and putting themselves forward to being up in front of everybody and getting their exposure.
And why do they do that?
Because Intel is such a great company. They've been based here a long time. They've had a balloon program for a long time. The support that they give the community and the Fiesta is outstanding.
That's terrific. And do you know anything about the feedback that Intel gets from their exposure here at Fiesta?
Well, they send 5 different people out with me every morning from Intel, and it all goes back to them, and I have had nothing but positive feedback throughout the last 5 years.
Well, thank you, Sean. We really appreciate your participation and Intel's participation, and we hope you have a wonderful flight.
Thank you very much.
Glenn, Art?
Thanks, Ruth, and say hello to Sean for us this morning. He's an old friend. We used to pal around the countryside at various different ballooning events back in the day when he was flying corporate balloons for a number of other clients, as well as now flying for Intel. there is the inflation process continuing on the field. Just to the left of the screen there is a shot of one of the balloons. Cymbaloo is the lion special shape from Longleat, brought to us by Andrew Holly of Exclusive Ballooning. Andrew has I think we counted a fleet of 8 special shapes that are here, all from Exclusive Ballooning and from Longleat.
I think that's because that's as high as we could count.
I think that's probably so. Yeah, they have the lion is here, the koala is here, all 3 penguins are here, the panther is here, the cheetah is here. I'm missing something, I'm sure.
Did you get Wes?
Wes the wolf is here.
And Adelaide the
koala. And they also have a new guinea pig balloon that just debuted back in mid-September, about a month ago, over at Longleat. And the kind of a fun story behind that was Andrew and a couple of his buddies were sitting around talking about ballooning one evening. Probably some adult beverages were involved, and got to talking
That's
about
always the way.
How we sometimes send up one balloon, like we talk about the Dawn Patrol goes up. They're kind of our wind dummies.
Right.
They're sort of the guinea pigs of that to go up to tell us what the rest of it is.
I see.
And they said, wouldn't it be cool to have a real guinea pig balloon? And lo and behold, we now have one.
Now we have one.
So be careful what you wish for sometimes.
That's kind of how the whole special shape here in Albuquerque got started, back with Chicky Boom and the whole story with that. Same thing, balloonists taking themselves too serious. We'll talk more about that on Thursday and Friday
when we get into
to
special shapes, and you'll get to see them up close and personal then.
Well, here we are back to, we were talking about pulling the top out. Now we got to putting the top in, getting enough of the fabric out. You see all the, you see that one tab off just by the gal on the left.
Yep.
So got to find all the bottoms there, because when we pack these up, we kind of just stuff it back in a bag.
Yeah.
Is really what happens.
That's exactly what you do.
Some people are a little more meticulous about how they stuff it.
Well, I was talking, you and I were talking last night, and one of the things I did, congratulations, by the way, to my very dear friend from long, long ago in ballooning, Dr. Coy Foster we were talking with him, or I was discussing him just the other day with some friends, and one of the things an innovation that he taught me was I had a small line attached from the top of the parachute to the crown ring. The crown ring is where all the load tapes come up at the top of the balloon, and they're connected to this round metal ring. The parachute top is fabric that fits underneath those load tapes and fills that hole. Well, I had a little piece of clothesline that attached from the metal ring down to the top of the center of the fabric of parachute.
Right.
So at the end of each flight, as we packed the balloon up, so that we didn't have to go inside the balloon hunting for the parachute, we always use that line to pull the parachute back up to the top and basically back up into that hole as we packed the balloon up. So it was always there, because sometimes if you don't do that, you can see in this shot here, you would have to go inside the balloon, and the parachute would be somewhere down about the middle from where it was when you pulled it down to deflate.
Kind of all piled up where we see that white fabric,
right.
Which is, it would be mixed in.
It would be mixed in with the rest of the balloon. And if your parachute, in my case, in my first balloon, my parachute top was a Texas flag, where the rest of the balloon was primarily yellow, so it was pretty easy to find.
Right.
But you look at this balloon, where the parachute is essentially the same color as the balloon.
Yes.
When you pull it down into the balloon and deflate, if you don't reposition it while you're packing up, then when you go to inflate, you got to go in there and find it and get it into position.
And sometimes that's pretty far in there, and you're going in quite a ways.
You are.
Yeah.
So that was just a little innovation that Dr. Coy Foster taught me years ago. There's Tall Steve on the screen. That is the balloon that Andrew Holly is flying, and right beside it is a little glimpse of the Panther, a solid black balloon. You can just see the beautiful golden eyes of that Panther balloon. There's Tall Steve photobombing, got his nose out of shape there.
Yeah, right between the Rainbow Riders balloons. And the red balloon we were looking at just a few minutes ago and describing what was going on, that is, as time flies, Tristan McLean, our XTO pilot.
Okay.
Someone else may be flying that balloon for him today. A little incident yesterday with a overzealous celebration.
Yeah.
Nothing, not really anything to do with the flying. Was nothing wrong with the flying stuff. We got great pictures of him yesterday, but the crew got a little overzealous.
Yeah.
And so not sure who's going to fly that for us today, but we should have our balloon cam in that balloon
Can we just
today.
explain what happened? I mean, The crew.
Well, sure. You know, he posted
post-flight.
He posted it to Facebook. So yeah, I guess
post-flight, the crew they were so excited. It was really his first official flight here at Fiesta.
As a primary pilot, balloon of the day, the flag.
They got a little excited, having landed and everything was safe. They got a little excited, and the crew basically gang tackled him, and in celebration, and in the process, he broke his collarbone.
So he's out here.
Oh my gosh!
He's out here. He's down there. In fact, there he is.
There he is.
There he is.
Broken collarbone and all. My goodness.
Yep. So, and I know he was so excited about flying Balloon Fiesta here, being the primary pilot, being sponsored by XTO, carrying our camera for us, all of that stuff, and then to have that happen on the first day is going to kind of put him out of commission here.
There goes Sean Askren in the Intel balloon. Sean just a few moments ago talking with our Ruth Lynn on the field, and we had a great shot there a moment ago too, where you could see some of that Longleat fleet inflating. The Penguins. We have Tall Steve, Puddles, and Splash, who are Tall Steve's parents, and then we had you could see the Lion, Cymbaloo, and also the Panther there on the ground, and we'll probably be seeing all of the fleet, the Koala, the Cheetahs, etc. That'll be flying from Longleat. Nice to have them here with us.
You may have noticed the banner on the side of the basket as Intel went out of here with the number 304 on the side. So you'll hear us, especially later this morning, about competition calling those banner numbers out. That's one of the probably easier ways, if you can see the banner, to identify the pilot, and that's how they'll be marking their scores down by banner 304, whatever banner is on the side. If the banner number is less than 300, they are a competitor. So banner numbers 300 and up, they're the fun flyers, 304 with Intel.
Okay.
And if you have a banner number of 1 to 20, so 001 up to 20, that means that is the place you finished in last year here at Balloon Fiesta.
Okay.
So Maury Petrin will be flying banner 001.
Okay, all right. That's cool. I didn't know that. I knew that we used the banner numbers. I just didn't realize that they recognized your past performance here. That's
the top
cool.
20, in the top 20 as well.
Speaking of tops, there is the New Mexico Zia balloon that is standing right here in front of our rooftop studio, and now that's always been Dr. Tom McConnell and his family, and now there's generations of that family that are flying the balloon.
Yep. Can't keep track of which generation is flying it.
I was going to say,
these days.
yeah, I know his son flies it.
So I want to look up. We don't have it on the shot, but if we look up,
I was about to say the same thing.
Tim Taylor up
Tim
there.
Taylor up there early.
So the Dawn Patrol balloon, Tim Taylor, one of those, has managed to fly around and around and around, and now he's directly over the top.
Back over the top of the ball. Another one is way out to our right.
And headed back this way.
So there is some apparently a westerly factor in the wind, very high up. There's a picture of Tim.
There he is.
In the Stars and Stripes themed balloon, but he was one of the early Dawn Patrol balloons that launched, and now is gone completely around the field and crisscrossed it a couple of times.
And he's dropping to come buzz the field, I think, almost here.
We're about ready to launch, and that means our launch directors are about to go into operation. Those folks down there in the zebra suits we were talking about earlier, and Ruth Lynn has one of them with her. Ruth.
I do. I'm so lucky today to be talking to Emily Pine. She's a zebra here down on 11. And Emily, tell us what a zebra does exactly.
We have one job out here. It's to have a safe, coordinated launch and to keep all the balloonists and spectators safe.
How long have you been doing this work?
This is my 14th year.
Wow, good for you. What kind of training do new zebras get?
They have to go through several classroom trainings that last a few hours, and then they spend 1 year as a zebra in training where they have another zebra walking around with them, and then on their 3rd year they're given their own row.
That's awesome. And before we go, I want our cameraman to show your outfit. These zebra costumes are phenomenal. Tom, let's see how Emily looks.
Ruth, we were loving that bounce for me, baby.
Bounce for me, baby. That button she's wearing.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you for your work keeping us all so safe.
Well, thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Ruth.
Back to you, Glen.
Thanks to our zebras. All
Thanks,
volunteers, Ruth. Our zebras are.
And many of them are pilots who give up the opportunity to fly here at Balloon Fiesta in order to serve the other pilots that come from around the world for the event. So it's nice to to see them. Boy, the heat
Good
from that
morning.
burner would probably feel nice right about now. It's a little far away from us.
That is
I think that's our XTO balloon.
That is the XTO, and we will be having one of our camera guys, Travis, will be flying with our balloon cam. So we're already getting the pictures of the balloon going hot, as we say. And actually, yeah, you can almost see the top, how it's still kind of tabbed in there.
One of the balloons, I'm not sure, how do I get rid of the calendar information?
Yeah, just on the outside. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. One of the balloons that's just inflated here in front of us on our rooftop studio is the.
And then type.
Oh no, I was just
you
trying
want to see that?
I just wanted to see the information. That was all.
Oh,
Yeah. Is Cynthia Seal, and that is Pat Rolfe.
Yep.
In their 11th year here at Balloon Fiesta, but only the second year, I think, flying Cynthia Seal, one of the new special shapes from Battle Creek, Michigan. And speaking of shapes in the air, look at that. There's a shot of several of the Longleat fleet there. Look at that Panther. I love that. Who would have thought that an all-black balloon could be so cool? But, I mean, those eyes, that's just ominous. With
My
the
high
eyes
school
of the
math
Panther.
scout was the Panther.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
There is the Longleat Lion. That is Cymbaloo. And he's turning around to show us, obviously, Longleat Sky Safari is the annual balloon event held in at Longleat. Longleat is a wildlife safari park. It was the first established outside of Africa 53 years ago now, when lions were first brought there. And I'm honored to be able to be the commentator there, and always a privilege to go over and see everyone at Longleat. So they have a whole fleet of balloons here. The penguins are up. The koala is up with the backside is what we're looking at. It also has Longleat on the side, Longleat Sky Safari. There's the shot from our north end camera. Now we don't see that view. You can see the face of the koala there. There comes the cheetah and one of the penguins. But we're looking, where we are on the south end, we're seeing the backside of the koala. That is Splash, or Puddles, Splash.
The female.
Yeah, that's the female of the two
That's
penguins.
the only way I can. I never remember which name is which.
I can't remember either. I'm not sure I have it right even, but I think Puddles was first and then Splash. Maybe the other way around. Either way, but that's the female. There is the male who is also in the air.
I think that's the second one because its registration number ended in Z. The first one ended in S.
Okay. Works for me. I should know. I mean, Andrew Holly,
you deal with them all the time.
I deal with them all the time, and Andrew's a dear friend, and I should know.
He's going to get you for that, I'll bet.
But anyway, I know the male was first, and we see him in the air now. And then we had the female, and then we had Tall Steve, the chick. So anyway, those are Tall Steve's parents, Puddles and Splash. Here's a look from inside the envelope. Not sure I'd want to stay there very long.
Yeah, looking in from the top there, back towards the basket. Yeah, you don't want to be there when they start putting hot air in the basket.
Well, you know,
envelope.
A little bit of history of the sport. Back in the day, before we had inflator fans, you used to have to just flap a little bit of air in there, and then somebody would go inside the balloon, usually with maybe like a big broomstick, and hold the balloon, the envelope up. While the pilot did get in and start heating the air because the hot air started to mix.
Almost with a weed burner sometimes, where they could kind of point it out.
Well, you could go in with a weed burner too, but some of the guys went in and just held the fabric up while the pilot lit the main burner. And I forget what we had a name for that person.
Was it Scorch?
Well, no, Scorch is a good friend of ours, but it was something like I don't know. Crispy Charlie or something.
That sounds more like what it was.
But that was a job I never would have wanted, to go in and stand there and hold the fabric while the pilot pointed that big. Of course, burners were not nearly so powerful back then either.
Yeah.
So
there you are, close and personal with the burner and our XTO balloon.
Yep. Looks like Tall Steve is going to just miss us this morning. Andrew is famous for trying to buzz our rooftop studio in Tall Steve, but the wind carrying them a little bit off to the west this morning as we're getting our mass ascension underway. Tall Steve, the penguin chick, he's taller than either of his two parents. That's the name. There goes our XTO energy balloon. Again, we are powered here.
And there's our balloon cam, as we can see what it looks like to take off
there's
from
Cynthia
the field.
Seal we were talking about a moment ago. You can see it just in the screen there.
The blue one with the rainbow colors around there, that's Honeydew, Bill Walker. If we can see the top of the balloon, there's a smiley face, which we usually only see when the balloon's laying down, but now we're going to see it from the sky. The row of balloons behind that, these are our guys that are going to fly. Right behind that was our Rainbow Riders balloon.
And if they stay with that shot, you're about to see us because they're going to come right over the top of our rooftop studio here.
So there you are, our balloon camp.
That is what it looks like from up in the air above Balloon Fiesta Park this morning. What a great view that is.
There it is.
There's our other XTO balloon. We have two for our sponsor here. Tall Steve just off to our left. Zooming
there they go
on the XTO.
Well, yesterday we had the balloon in the camera in that balloon and the yellow with the XTO.
Right.
Taking pictures back the other way.
There is back to the ground camera. There's Cynthia Seal.
Do we have to wave to the balloon camera, guys?
Well, maybe if they put if they go back to the balloon shot. There we are.
There we are.
Yep.
There's our table. All righty, good shot.
Good shot of the roof. There we are on the rooftop studio.
So now you see where we are and how close we are to the field. There's our view, although we're obviously lower than the balloon. All right. There's Steve coming by.
Quick shout out to Tall Steve. I don't know if Andrew probably can't hear us, but
he's got to be watching. We'll wave at him anyway.
Give him a quick wave this morning. Yep.
And not sure if John Bolger or Tom is flying our other XTO balloon coming. They're going to come right over the top of us as well right here.
It looks like it, yeah. But they don't have a camera this morning.
They do not have the camera this morning. We certainly appreciate one of their passengers yesterday, Jamie, was taking all the video for us yesterday.
Oh, really?
And we got some great shots. There's a great aerial shot looking down on Tall Steve.
There's Tall Steve, and that's Puddles, the male of his parents. Look at that shot.
Oh, wow, yeah. Right in the middle of it. You can't get your helicopters that close.
You can't. We do have news choppers that do sometimes orbit around the field, but they have to stay at a certain altitude and a certain distance away, and you can't get a camera in any closer than what you're seeing right here on Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO.
Quick shout out to my niece Donna watching from Florida. I saw you check in a little while ago. I actually saw it this time, Donna. Glad that you're there. Someone right after you from just down the road from you in Tampa is also watching. We're going to have a great morning here.
I think we are, yeah.
And then we're moving fairly quickly to get these guys off. That's going to give our competitors a very nice opportunity to, and with the box, probably make multiple passes.
Because the quicker we could clear the field and get all of these balloons into the sky. There's a great shot of Cymbaloo, overlooking his kingdom, the Cymbaloo,
and you can see the sun hasn't actually made it over the Sandia Mountains.
No, it has not. It's still we're still a bit in the shade. It's still that's why it's still a bit chilly this morning. It's cooler this morning. Yeah, cooler this morning than it has been all week. There is a cold front coming, and we were actually just about the 49, 50 degree mark this morning, just a few degrees cooler than we have been so far. Look at the Sandias off in the distance there.
Yep.
That's looking to the east from Balloon Fiesta Park with the Sandia Mountains there.
And back on the field.
Cynthia Seal launching now right behind the Crown Plaza balloon from Crown Plaza, Albuquerque. One of the many fine hotels here.
One of the many red, white, and blue balloons as well. We have a lot of those. There goes Cynthia Seal.
Yep. I can remember back in the day when if you were going to come to Fiesta, when you left, you had to go ahead and make your hotel reservations for the next year because there weren't that many hotels here in Albuquerque, and they filled up during Balloon Fiesta, and so you really made your reservations a year in advance. That's still not a bad idea, but we have a whole slew of new hotels here now, a lot more rooms available than we used to have, and so doing things that far in advance isn't necessarily a requirement anymore, but boy, at one time it certainly was, because if you waited too late in the year, you just couldn't find a room to stay.
Had one of our one of our new photographers coming into town, didn't get the room booked very, very fast. So the pickings, even though you could get a room up to a week beforehand,
your options were
the
limited.
Options were very limited. Yeah. So yeah, definitely book farther out than later. So make those plans to be here. I would be making those plans not only for next year for number 49, but I'd be looking ahead to 50.
2021 for 50. You bet you better be booking a room early.
Who do you think that is on the screen?
Yeah, that's Andrew Holly and Tall Steve. And by the way, quick shout out if she's watching to Louise Moore, who is Andrew's admin. She is office administrator, but she is at home in the UK on maternity leave, having not too long ago given birth to a beautiful young daughter named Grace Rose.
Mentioned this balloon a few minutes ago, the blue one with the rainbow colors. There's a turning vent right there on the side, going around the left-hand
like there's
side.
a hole in the balloon.
Looks in the side. The air comes out the side, and that allows the balloon to rotate. That's the one I mentioned that, while we can't see it from this angle, the top has a smiley face in that parachute top. That's Honeydew, Bill Walker on the board of directors. He is taking that balloon airborne, and basically right next to him, the Fiesta balloon with Dick Rice. There's a shot from the camera of our pilot. And they never told me who was flying that for us, with Kristen grounded due to his
yeah, I know.
injury.
Ken Drawn was actually blowing the balloon last night. So we've called on a bunch of volunteer pilots to step in and fill the void and keep that balloon airborne for us. And so each flight, probably someone different is going to be piloting. There goes Lady Jester, by the way. Someone asking very early on Facebook this morning, was Lady Jester here? There she is. Lady Jester, of course, originally owned by Martha and Carson Lane out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Called themselves the Fun Bunch. They are no longer the owners. They've retired from flying and sold the balloon on some time ago. But the balloon continues to fly. And looks like Art's trying to...
Well, I'm looking at the purple one that's just going off almost even with the gesture there. I believe that's Purple Haze, Dave Nelson.
That is, yeah.
Good morning up there.
And number 383, I think that is.
Or 333.
Oh, okay, it might be 333. You're right. Yep. Look at that shot, Art. Tall Steve up over the crowd, up over Balloon Fiesta Park. Andrew's getting his share of camera time this morning.
It was Dave Coing waving and hollering at us. His balloon right above. He's directly up above us. You can't see it
literally
on the screen.
Right on top of us.
And I always love that shot. Of course, I don't have my camera right in it.
So this is an international ballooning event. We have pilots from all around the world. We also have pilots from all across the USA. And Ruth has found a pilot visiting here from up north, from Nebraska.
I thought you were going to say from the country of Nebraska.
No. No, Texas is the only state that's also another country.
There you
won't
go.
Go there. But she's found a pilot from Nebraska. Ruth, take it away.
What are we doing here?
Yes, I'm here with John Kugler from McCook, Nebraska. John really is that tall. It's not just that he's in the basket. But John and I go back many, many years. John was one of the people who was vitally important in bringing gas ballooning back into popularity in the United States by flying ammonia gas balloons. John, tell us how you guys all got started with ammonia ballooning.
Ammonia, we found out, was lighter than air, and it was a major component in products that we manufacture. I said, well, we have an overwhelming amount of ammonia. We'll figure out how to use it. So we started putting the vapor in dry cleaner bags. Sure enough, they'd fly. Then we built a balloon. Sure enough, we could put 2 of us in it and fly. It was cheap. It was a couple $100 to fly. And every weekend we were out flying. There were about 8 of us. We had a ball. Most fun ballooning, I think, in the whole 20 years.
It really was, and I remember we used to call it flying fertilizer, and we all had our special ammonia names. Your name, and you were Jethro.
Absolutely.
And I was Miss Kitty. We had a world champion pilot who was flying ammonia. He had been world champion multiple times.
Flying forever.
Exactly, and he was new guy because he was new to ammonia. It was a lot of fun. John, have a great flight today.
Thanks so much. Well, great to see you, Miss Kitty.
You too, Jethro. Back to you guys.
Wait a minute, Ruth. Miss Kitty. Now we got to find out about that.
Yes,
let's do that
okay,
off
well,
air.
The story
go
behind.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it's perfectly fine.
Okay. And of course, when you've got your balloon going, you've got to put that feed in.
Go ahead, Ruth.
That's right. Well, the very first time that I flew ammonia, I had so much fun, but it does have an odor. So I said, oh my goodness, I feel like I've been flying a kitty litter box.
I love it.
Oh, what a great story.
So that was it.
All right. Well,
Back to you.
Now you've got a new name, or I guess a renewed nickname. Miss Kitty.
Yep.
I love that. Oh, and if you're a cat person, you know exactly what Ruth is saying. So,
yeah,
that's interesting. A couple of interesting balloons in the air right now. There's one of them. If we widen that shot out, you'll see there are two identical balloons that are replicas of the state flag of Colorado. That's what that big C on the side of the balloon is. The flag doesn't have the Rocky Mountains in it like the balloons do, but to indicate they are from the great state of Rocky Mountain High.
When I was working through our spotter app, I'm sure I put the Colorado balloon in here, and then sure enough, I realized there were indeed two. So usually we just have one. They're flying some of our Rainbow Riders customers. And there's a shot from the balloon cam, our XTO balloon cam, looking down on one of the Rainbow Rider balloons. A lot of people getting their bucket list check marked.
Or their basket list check mark.
Whatever it is. They're getting a check mark put somewhere.
They are indeed.
Yeah. So balloons drifting to the southeast.
Actually, the wind has changed a bit
just
now
changed,
because,
didn't it?
You know, Tall Steve and that group went out and they went to the west. They went southwest of us. Now, all of a sudden, the balloons are drifting more to southeast. In fact, actually down toward downtown. But look, as a matter of fact, up to our right, there is Tall Steve, and the balloon in front of him, that dark blue balloon, they're actually boxing back. So we do have a box this morning.
Yeah, actually, I'm thinking it's almost like a little roll here.
Yeah.
That just may be because of the how slow they're climbing. But yes, it's they first started out to the southwest. Now they're kind of going off to the southeast, but certainly back up high, like we saw with the Dawn Patrol.
And if you look really high, you can see that the sun is up.
Oh, wow,
although it's on the other side of the Sandias from us yet. We're in the shade, but those balloons that are really up at altitude are lighting up in the sunshine. So the sun is on its way. Here comes the sun.
And actually, our balloon camera balloon, our XTO balloon, is coming back over the field as well, up at that higher altitude.
Well, there's the shot right there. Look
there's
at that.
the shot looking back. So look at how many balloons we have
still
ready
to go.
launch before we open up the field for competition.
This is just the group that are not flying competition. This is
not
this
the
is whole
first
field.
half.
This is just part. This is just the folks that are not flying competition. We have another group that size waiting to take off today.
And they, of course, have left the field because their task is to fly back to this spot.
That's right.
You not very often do you land where you take off. That's why we have a chase group.
But you can do it here in Albuquerque. Albuquerque
more
is famous
often than
for
many
the box.
places.
Yeah.
We saw it yesterday. We're seeing it again today. So, of course, they really don't want the fun guys coming back in over the field.
Right.
Some of them will, and it won't be a big deal. But the competitors will be coming in, and if they're not quite lined up, we expect that they'll go back up and box around.
There is on screen right now. I was talking earlier about the guinea pig balloon, the newest from Andrew Hawley. There he is. That's our little guinea pig. Actually, the coloring isn't real bright just yet, but little brown, kind of a tan brown colored little guinea pig balloon. Also launching off the field, the emoji balloon. Lee Hooper is up and away. Lee is here from the UK with Lindstrand balloons, building the smiley face emoji. And goodness knows what would our lives be like these days without emojis for everything. We can communicate using nothing but emojis.
Another shot from our balloon cam of a couple of the Rainbow Riders, and then back to the emoji balloon.
And just below the emoji balloon is the 770 KKOB balloon. And of course, what you're seeing here today, Balloon Fiesta, presented by Canon, all began with 13 balloonists celebrating the 50th anniversary of then radio station KOB right here in Albuquerque.
Ron Curry flies KOB for us.
Yep.
Still call it KOB, even though technically
it's KKOB. Yeah. There is Osito Bimbo, the bear, and photobombing the bear is what now? You
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
Yeah, used to just be the wise owl or the owl, and then they decided that they were going to start calling it Albuquerque, at least while it's here.
At least while he's here, yeah. And he's photobombing our shot right there. And there's Osito Bimbo, the bear, and photobombing the bear is what now used to have the wise owl or the owl, and then they decided that they were going to start calling it Albuquerque, at least while it's here. At least while he's here, yeah. And he's photobombing our shot right there.
The pilots must know that they're on and they're being watched by hundreds of thousands of people, because the photo bombing that's been going on this week by slipping into our shot is just incredible.
Spider Pig, someone asking again today, is Spider Pig there? Spider Pig will be here for Special Shapes. Our friend Keith Berry coming in to fly Spidey Pig for us.
John Viner putting Hyla the Frog up for us. We just saw that. There's our 2 fractal balloons. The one on the left, Fibonacci. That's the newest one, the one that's mostly orange. Look at, there's a Rainbow Riders balloon on the screen. There's what
a basket full of folks.
A basket full of folks. The more blue fractal balloon we saw there, Infinitude. Gratitude for up to infinity, because fractals are infinite. That's where that comes from. You see the blue one.
Yep.
And which special shape is the gray one right in front? Can you tell enough from
I couldn't tell enough from what it was. I thought it was Osito for a minute, but Osito's standing up, so it wasn't that. Speaking of balloons, there is the Cannon balloon, C Impossible, and the Balloon Fiesta, of course, is presented by Cannon. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see it now.
That's the Redeemer, Christ the Redeemer, that's inflating there. Johnny Petrin, though, flying the Cannon balloon for our presenting sponsor. And if you're here with a camera, particularly if you have a Canon camera, which we hope you do, I do. I have 2 of mine here. That's a great place to go after flying, is to stop into the Canon tent, where you can get your cameras looked at. You can maybe learn about some of the features that maybe you're not that familiar with, and plus see the latest and greatest equipment that they have available. So you can stop in and visit with the fine folks from Canon Cameras who are here all week long. Good to have them here as always.
The green balloon with the flames we just saw, that's John Kugler, who we just talked to, Luke just talked to.
Yeah.
Yep, his balloon still flaming. There he is right there.
One not filled with ammonia.
Not filled with ammonia.
Thank goodness.
Haven't flown ammonia that I know of in a long time,
I don't
but
think
that was certainly a thing for a while.
It was. I think Bert Padelt was one of the early folks who was involved in the ammonia gas balloon experiment, as it were.
And the idea was that was going to be an inexpensive way to get into gas ballooning versus having to purchase helium or hydrogen, which we're now using.
Well,
at the
and
time.
we really weren't using hydrogen so much back then. They've
it was all
used
helium.
hydrogen over in Europe, but we used helium because we have one of the world's largest supplies of helium, and it was fairly cheap. That's no longer the case. So yeah, but ammonia was thought to be an easy way to get in, especially for pilot training, to learn gas ballooning at the time. There goes Osito climbing high above the crowd, and as it is up and away. Osito Bimbo, of course, is the Bimbo Bear representing Bimbo Bakery. They are the world's largest bakery. They're actually the parent company to a number of other brand names that no doubt you would recognize, like Entenmann's and Oro Wheat and Thomas, Sara Lee. They are all part of the Bimbo factory, or Bimbo family, I should say. And they are on site, and usually you can go by their booth and sample some of the great baked goods. They were kind enough earlier this week to bring us both our own very very nice plush little Bimbo Bear, which will probably go to one of my either my grandniece or my grandnephew. I may have to go get a second one just so I can keep peace in the family. But yeah, Bimbo Bear, and that's a tough balloon to fly and keep clean because he's all white.
Yep. Well, then the whole baker's hat makes it a little difficult to deflate as well.
Yeah.
With extra.
A couple of other balloons of note taking off in that same general area there to the east, right along Main Street. Just below Bimbo Bear is the Dial 811 balloon, or Shovel Man, as the balloon has come to be known, from Cox Communications, reminding you that you always dial 811 and check for underground utilities or underground services before you do any construction work, so that you can have those pipelines or electrical lines, etc., marked with those little small colorful flags. And then just in front of it, the preventive, there we see it, the preventive pest control balloon with the itsy bitsy spider going up the side.
Ain't so itsy bitsy. Don Boyer flying the preventive pest control balloon for us. There's Anton, our gas station mechanic.
Is that what Anton is? Okay.
Yep. See, he's got the gas can in his left hand there.
There aren't many gas stations that still use attendants. I worked in a gas station back when I was in high school. Worked down the road from where I grew up in a Gulf station. Worked for Roberts Gulf.
My understanding, well, it is, the state of New Jersey does not allow self-service gasoline.
Really?
Yeah, there's another state, I think it's in the Northwest, I can't remember, but there are apparently 2 states in the U.S.
that still
no
require-
self-service. That
No,
requires,
wow.
yeah.
I had no idea.
Yep.
That's interesting.
I was in New Jersey a year or so ago, and I went pulling up to the pump and jumped out to go fill it up, and this guy goes, no, and I thought, I can get it,
Yeah.
No, you can't get it.
can't get
It's
it.
against,
Wow. So that's it. The things you learn watching Balloon Fiesta live. I had no idea.
Somebody was explaining to me that they thought it was when some of the manufacturing shut down there, a way to bring some jobs back was to require gas stations to have attendants and no self-serve.
Well, maybe not a bad idea.
Oregon. they're telling us it's Oregon. Is the other state.
Oregon is the other state. Okay.
Of course, our viewers would tell us.
Of course,
where it
they'll tell
was.
us. Yeah, they're telling us all kinds of things. Yeah.
So we've got a great shot from Balloon Cam here, looking down on a Rainbow Riders balloon and the Rio Grande.
Yeah, there's at least 6 people that one after the other have all commented. It's Oregon. It's Oregon. It's Oregon. Okay, we know it's Oregon. Thank you.
look at the shot of the Rio Grande from our Balloon Cam.
That's awesome.
And we see the sun continuing to come. It's actually starting to hit the tops of the balloons that are still here on the field, so we'll have some good sunshine
Oregon
here.
owes us a bill for publicity this morning because everybody on Facebook is chatting now about Oregon that doesn't require or doesn't allow self-pump gas. Interesting. There is Barry Ballinger in the Plains Capital Bank balloon, the balloon where the balloon team says we fly in the buff, and that's because the balloon has the 2 bison or buffalo, or if you remember the movie Dances with Wolves, the 2 tatankas on the side of the balloon. And Barry Ballinger is the pilot there, Royal Blue. There's a great shot of it online with one of those, and there's an identical buffalo head or tatanka on the other side of the balloon. There you can just make it out of the shot.
Good thing the rest of the
bit.
buffalo isn't there on the balloon.
Yeah. And I don't know
Could
if I really
change our rating on the on our show.
This is a family show, but they do. They have T-shirts. They gave me one year that says "We fly in the buff." So,
not on the screen, but following Barry out there is the Coronado Center balloon.
I was going to
Crystal
talk
blue
about that
from
earlier.
Toby. Yep. That's, of course, where it started. Cool Beans, we saw it take off earlier.
And there they are.
Flying over
Somebody
the Bosky. Oh, and they're going right over the river now.
Somebody commented early on Facebook, I see Cool Beans. Love that balloon. So that was early this morning before they were launching.
And I think we mentioned the Smurf special shape. Been here before, but not here recently. So good to have the Smurf back.
Yep, and if we pull back from that shot just a bit, the brand new Bass Pro Shops balloon is getting airborne over on that side of the field. Had a chance to have dinner just the other night here at Fiesta Park with the pilot and crew chief and the marketing director for Bass Pro Shops, the lady in charge of events for Bass Pro Shops. And we were talking with her about the very comfortable chairs that you and I enjoy each morning that are from Cabela's, and that's all Bass Pro owns Cabela's.
Part of the same.
So she was excited to learn that. There's
Wags.
Wags.
Wag.
Hey, Wags. That is the new balloon of Dean Carlton.
That's such an adorable puppy.
You know, and Dean was telling me, I saw the balloon for the first time up at Lyle, Illinois, and he said, you can't imagine the hundreds of pictures that we took. Wags is modeled after their own 2 pets, their own 2 dogs. And they said, we went back and forth with the artist at the manufacturer to get the expression just right. And Wags is so lifelike. If you're up close to the balloon, you just expect this big old golden retriever to come jumping right out of the balloon. It's just beautiful.
It is. It's a great. And I'm looking up. Tall Steve has made it out to the.
He sure has.
Yeah. So the wind that's taking to the southeast low, north at another layer, higher up, it's to the northwest. You could make it out to Rio Rancho as we see people over the balloons over the river. You could make it out to the northwest part of the town here if you wanted to. So the competitors are certainly looking and saying, where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go?
And typically what will happen is we'll have some that will choose to fly a low path in, so they'll be looking at the lower level winds coming from one direction. We'll have others that will decide to come in very high and then dive bob down into the field, if you will, and so they'll be coming from different directions. But right now, just looking overhead, I see balloons going in at least 4 different directions. They're
Easily.
going north, south, east, and west, and a lot of in between.
Yeah.
Just traveling in you can almost just drive the balloon anywhere you want to go this morning.
All you got to do is find the right altitude.
Yep.
Yep. That is exactly what's happening. almost like I almost think this isn't a box anymore. It's a kaleidoscope.
That's a good way to describe it. Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it
really is.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, makes for great fun on competition days.
It will.
It also is going to mean I'm going to have my head on a major swivel down there when we get down there.
You're going to be dodging baggies. I'm a little safer here on the rooftop, though. I do know one or two pilots who sometimes like to, if they have the opportunity, bomb the rooftop studio.
Well, I've been on the scoring team in the previous years, and I was talking with another gal who was on the scoring team with me at that time. And we were telling stories about the pilots who they're not going to get close to the X, so they throw in a score.
Try to hit one of the scoring officials.
If I get you, does that count for anything?
I did an event one year up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I don't remember how it got started, but there was this mean rumor about we were going to take water balloons. The pilots were going to take water balloons and throw them at me on the on my tower, and I wasn't too excited about that opportunity.
So I just used our fabulous Canon binoculars with image stabilization features.
Right, I have mine here as well.
Yeah, so it's the balloon that's just gone out of the picture on the right-hand side there to the right of Princess Nellie. It's the bear balloon. It's the yellow, orange, purple, blue. Yeah, it's just up a little higher there.
I thought you were talking about Beelzebub or whatever the hell that thing
No,
is
I was
called.
talking about Dave. It's Dave Bear because I used the binoculars to see who the pilot was, because you'll remember that there are two identical balloons. One of them being son David, who's flying this one. He calls it Barely Awake.
And then Father
Ray Bear calls it Kaleidoscope.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I should have guessed that because I think Ray flies competition, and I'm not sure that David is flying the competition. There's a shot out there from. Let's see. Actually, that's from our scissor lift at our midfield stage camera, looking across the field.
Somebody is asking the interesting question. I wonder if it's warm in those balloons with all the hot air. Actually, it's not, because as they are speculating, the hot air rises. It's really no warmer in the basket than it is, or colder in the basket than it is right here on the ground, unless you're really at high altitudes. But no, the burner does not provide any additional heat in the basket, trust me.
But what does happen is because the balloon is moving with the speed of the wind, you have zero wind, so you get no breeze.
That's true. There's no
you do
wind chill factor.
No wind chill factor. You feel a little bit warmer up there, but it's not from the burner.
But it's not from heat of the burner. That's true.
Exactly.
All the heat from the burner goes up and heats the air and dissipates there.
At best, you'll get just a little bit of residual.
Yeah, you'll get some radiant heat occasionally.
Yeah.
But generally, no. You really don't notice any difference in the basket.
Hi, Nashville. Good to see you.
There is Yoda. Fly today, I will.
And there's the Redeemer in the air.
Which means that Darth Vader is probably not far away. I see Tammy Foley in her pink camouflage balloon.
The backside of Yoda, right by Fibinucci, that nice fractal balloon, mostly orange.
Balloon, yeah. Yeah, we've got an article coming up in a future issue of Ballooning Magazine all about that balloon, how it was built, and the uniqueness to the pattern, etc. So,
and the side view of Yoda.
Yeah.
It's great to have all these different camera angles. South end, north end, east side,
aerial,
up in the balloon, on the ground.
Yeah.
We've got you covered.
You cannot escape.
Yeah. I think there's even more directions. I'm looking straight up here again, and even more directions than we talked about like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think you could look at a compass rose and just about pick any point on the compass.
It would spin around.
And find a balloon that's moving in that direction. We've talked a bit earlier this week about the balloon manufacturers. If you're getting excited about the sport of ballooning, maybe think you'd like to get involved in this. Many of the manufacturers are here on the field. They have marquees set up where you can go and see some of the latest equipment, see some of their latest creations, talk with them about designing an envelope, the cost, etc., pilot training, whatever. One of those manufacturers who's here, he doesn't typically have a marquee, but Tarp Head from Head Balloons out of Helen, Georgia, and I see his balloon just getting airborne now, and the Smurf is going aloft.
There's Journey, the black one with the space theme on it, Donate
stars,
Life.
Yeah.
Right before that was Scott Vesley in our Lighthouse business.
To say, Scott Vesley is right there by the Smurf.
We saw him just a moment before.
He's actually passing right in front of the Smurf right now.
So Scott Vesley, the leader of our Dawn Patrol show team. So on our Mass Ascension mornings, which is the weekends, and our midweek Ascension on Wednesday, when we choreograph the Dawn Patrol. Although they were pretty choreographed without us this morning as well. They did a great little formation.
They sure did.
I know they've been wanting to try that formation flight and liftoff to be able to do that.
I think the Dawn Patrol show wants to try and do that.
They do too.
Where we launch everybody at the same time. We'll have to see if maybe that happens at either Wednesday or perhaps on the closing weekend. One of the balloons in the center of the field right now is an orange and blue and white spiral flying for our sponsor 7-Eleven. And that's a bit of a historic balloon because it's an Aerostar, and it was, at the time, the first spiral pattern balloon that Aerostar had ever built. And that is Bud Person. The balloon is called Twisted Gator.
Because you have to cut the fabric in those to make that
on the
staggered,
diagonals to make a spiral.
Right.
And it wasn't a natural pattern because for Aerostar and for most balloons, their panels are square or rectangular. And this was the first time that Aerostar had actually built a spiral pattern balloon. So that balloon has a bit of a historic nature to it. Just some balloon trivia. If you're ever at a pub and someone says, okay, name the first balloon that was a spiral pattern by Aerostar, now you know. Odds of that question ever coming up are not very high, I'm sure, but
nope. You mentioned Tammy Foley and Tamo. There she goes by on the screen. And there's Tamo. The Demon off to the left on the screen.
Beelzebub, or whatever its name is.
Yep.
And there is kind of interesting, the two pink balloons side by side. You've got Tamo, the pink camouflage, right beside Nellie. Princess Nellie now, the pink elephant. That is version 3 of that balloon. The original was gray and just called Nellie. And then there was Nellie B. Or no, the first one was white, I think.
First one was white.
Yeah, and then Nellie B was gray, and now we have Princess Nellie, which is pink, and that's one of the balloons here from Belgium. So it looks like we're getting close to clearing the field. It won't be long that we'll start to see our scoring team going down and flagging off the field, beginning to move the spectators off to the sides of the field around the perimeter.
In fact, look at the number of spectators that are out there.
Yeah.
This is we've got a great crowd out here this morning. Don't have it on our screen, but just flying directly over us at Cheryl Lakete, the one of the board of directors. The name of that balloon, Heirloom. The orange, purple, blue, yellow, kind of vertical, and then checks. I'm not sure we'll get that shot. It's she's straight overhead. I don't think you can get up that high to see that. Cheryl actually crewed for me for a while. When I was flying, we tell the story about she was coming in chasing after we were flying up an Angel Fire after a snowstorm up there, and the snow drifts, and she's running up to catch us as we're coming in for a landing, and all of a sudden she's gone, and we realized she had fallen into a snowdrift that was about 5 feet. Cheryl's only about 4'6", so yeah,
oh my goodness.
She just disappeared chasing us in, but some great times up
Earlier
there.
today we saw the 2 Colorado State flag balloons go, and I just am now seeing Bruce Livornia, my good friend from Austin, Texas, in his balloon. That is a Texas flag, but interestingly, the top of the balloon is blue with a big white star, and then it has the vertical red and white stripes on this coming down vertically down the side of the balloon. So that is Bruce here in his balloon from Austin, Texas. Ruth Lynn has found a very dear friend of mine and longtime balloonist, and Mr. Jim Thompson down on the field. So, Ruth, where are you?
I am right down here in front of you, Glenn. You can probably almost see us, but I'm here with Jim Thompson. Jim is a past BFA president, and he has been the NAA liaison to the BFA. He has worked on countless committees, and one of my favorite memories of Jim, aside from the fact that Jim hired me to be an editor of Balloon Federation of America magazine before you, was that Jim and his wife Connie chased for us in gas balloons for several years. Now, Jim today is wearing a very special jacket. It's from the 2004 America's Challenge gas balloon race. Jim, turn around so we can see your jacket there.
Nice.
Like that.
And that flight was great. Carol Reimer Davis and I were the pilots on that flight, and Jim and Connie were chasing us, and we had a little bit more excitement than we wanted. What was that like for you, Jim?
Ruth, we were on the ground. We had you in sight and there was a thunderstorm behind you. And we saw you coming in for a landing, and all of a sudden the balloon went up and disappeared into the thunderstorm. We had no idea whether you were on the balloon or whether you were on the ground. And we tried to locate you. We could not find you. We called into the headquarters here, and they told us the coordinates where they last saw the balloon. And we went, you were in a hog confinement area where you landed. Because of the health issues, they wouldn't let us go in. They only let one person go in to pick you up. And we were certainly glad to see you two on the ground.
Oh, we were glad to see you too. And I have to just put in a little plug here. That was the command center. And the command center really came to our rescue that day and got us all put back together. But we've had many other more wonderful gas balloon flights together and adventures together all over the place. Jim, when you look back at all the years you have spent in ballooning and in the BFA, what stands out to you as something just extra special?
Well, one of the real special flights that I ever took was not related to competition. It was not related to the BFA. I was born and raised in South Dakota, and the first balloon flights out of the Black Hills in South Dakota, the stratosphere flights, were about the time I was born. So I have a history back to the beginning of the Strato Bowl in the Black Hills of South Dakota. 2012, my son John and I were invited to fly out of the Strato Bowl, and that was the most magnificent flight that I think I've ever had. We came out of the bowl, went down into a valley, and followed this canyon back and forth for about 5 miles. And that was the most enjoyable flight that I've ever had.
That sounds magnificent. And the Strato Bowl, if people don't know, is 1,000 feet deep?
About 700 foot deep. And 3 sides are big canyon walls. And it was picked to inflate the gas balloons because there's calm. It's totally calm in the bottom of that bowl, no matter what the winds are doing above it.
That's right. Well, Jim, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We hope to see you at many, many more fiestas. And Glenn and Art, will hand it off back to you.
Thanks, Ruth. And that's
pretty good, huh?
Yeah, good.
Pretty good, huh?
Did that two-part harmony.
There you go. A good time to remind folks that America's Challenge gas balloon event for 2019 for this year, scheduled to launch tonight, right here from this field. And we will be on the air at 6:30 Mountain Time, our normal evening time, so 00:30 for the Zulu time, Greenwich Mean, UTC time. So we will be on the air. We will be able to show you parts of the inflation. We're going to pick it up partway through inflation and have the entire launch as well tonight. Ruth is, of course, the head of the command center.
Right.
The place that Jim was just talking about calling into when he was looking for her before. Well, now she's in there.
Now she's in there.
Doing that job for us.
She'll be communicating with many of the other teams as they're going out chasing them. And just so you know, Ruth mentioned that Jim had the brilliant presence of mind to hire her as editor of Ballooning Magazine prior to me. Well, Jim also was key in my getting that job to take on that job when Ruth decided to retire from the magazine. So Jim has
so he
quite
did that right twice.
Yeah, he made a good decision twice as far as we're both concerned. I just wanted to quickly point out high overhead, there's a solid green balloon that caught my attention because in gold on the side of the balloon it has the word Slanja.
Right.
And we've talked about the New Mexico tartan balloon, which is named Slanja. Now, Slanja is a Gallic toast, if you will. It's kind of like if you say Slanja va, you're essentially saying to your good health, or may you have good health. So it's like cheers, l'chaim, here's to you, whatever. But I was not aware we have that balloon which is named Slanja, but now we have this green balloon that I was trying to find it in the spotter's guide and I couldn't find it. I'm sure you could locate it, but anyway, just it caught my attention because it's solid green, but in gold lettering on the side of the balloon it has the word Slanja, which
it's by the way, it's been here before, and every time you talk about the tartan balloon in Slanja, I always think of this one.
Okay, well, and Slanja, by the way, is spelled S-L-A-I-N-T-E with one of those weird little marks over one of the letters, I forget which. But Slanja va is it's a Gallic, a Celtic greeting or toast. to your health. So
there we go.
Yeah.
So we saw a shot of Smokey Bear, and Smokey may do a static display on that end of the field because Smokey is usually over on the west end of the field. They've moved him over to the east, and they were telling balloons that if they wanted to do a static display, they could, but they needed to be in row one, which is where he is. Although as soon as I say that, up in the air he goes.
Look over.
So forget that.
Yeah, but look over in the southwest corner, northwest corner rather, and look who's steering right at us.
Right at us. There you go.
There is tall Steve.
Hey, I see a good friend of mine. We don't have it on the shot, but she's coming right overhead. The yellow, orange, purple going up. That is the ABQ Hopper, which we actually talked with Becky DeSantis when she was with Judy Nakamura on Saturday night's Balloon Glow. We talked about that being a chariot. Actually, this is a home-built balloon, built actually sewn by Barbara Fricke, and Becky is flying this today, but she's put the basket on the bottom.
Okay.
So we've got it set up that we can fly it with a two-seat chair or with a small basket.
Yeah.
And she's buzzing our tower here this morning, so it's great to see Becky up in the sky this morning.
There's a great shot online of tall Steve, the penguin chick, Andrew Hawley. Looks like he's possibly going to come in here and land before they clear the field, or maybe he's going to just gently float over to the east edge of the field and land and do a static display there. We'll see.
Well, that would be just like Andrew to get all of the above
accomplished.
Absolutely.
Andrew, by the way, for those of you watching, is the only pilot to have flown a hot air balloon in all 50 states. I was quite honored to be part of his logistics team when he pulled that off just a few years ago and earned a Guinness Book of World Records certificate for that. He flew a balloon in all 50 states, including Alaska and Hawaii, just so you know, all 50 in 43 days and some matter of hours and minutes, but basically 43 days. Some days actually flew in 3 different states, and for the record, we could not launch at the Texas-New Mexico border and launch in, say, New Mexico and then land in Texas and call that 2 states. He had to launch and land in the same state, and so on some days he would fly close enough to the border so that he could launch, make a flight, and there were restrictions on how long he had to be in the air for the flight to count and what altitudes you had to reach. And so he would literally make a flight, land, pack up the balloon, drive across the border, launch, land, pack up the balloon, drive across another border, launch, and land a third time and get 3 states. Sometimes, actually on a couple of times, I think we got 4 states, 3 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon.
That's work.
That is work. It is absolutely
putting the balloon up
work.
and down once, and I've done it twice, where you fly dawn patrol here,
right?
You land, you come pack it up,
right.
You come back here and fly again. Yeah, doing it even twice is
well. And imagine having to drive, in some cases in between a certain amount of distance,
right?
And then of course they drove all the way up to Alaska to accomplish that flight, and then we put the balloon on an airplane and flew it out to Hawaii. And to an area where I was talking with, we launched from a small airport there, and the expert said, gosh, the wind blows 20 miles an hour here every day of the year. And within 2 days, we had calm winds. And actually, for the final flight of that whole world record attempt, Andrew was able to box the airport and land back within inches of where he took off. It was the perfect ending to a great ballooning saga. And by the way, there are videos and books available about that called Fly Every State. You can find more about that at Exclusive Ballooning's website, I'm sure. It looks like he is going to land right over there, just next to, is that by the center stage chase vehicle, I think, over there?
Just
almost right in front of the main stage.
Yeah, he's coming right in, actually right by the cannon tent. Gonna zoom right.
Yep, and I see some crew on hand, and they've just caught the basket, so
just the way you're supposed to do it.
Yep.
That's it. Hey, Yolanda checked in over here asking which direction are the balloons going today. Every which way.
Pick one.
Pick one. They're going that way. Depends on the moment. My good friend Don Henderson checked in as well. Missing you, Don. Wish you were here again. And your photos. Good to see you checking us out online.
It does, though, as I look up, based on that question, it does look, though, as though there is now at high altitude a very definite westerly push. There's a whole stream of balloons at high altitude. Looks like the highest level.
Well, and look out towards the
going
north,
to
out
the
towards
west.
the west. Yeah, many of them have picked that up.
A lot of them might be trying to use that. You know, it's always a popular thing to do here is to get over to the Rio Grande and then splash and dash in the Rio. And it may well be that many of them are up high trying to. Plus, there's great landing sites out in in the Rio Rancho and Corrales.
Once you get on the west side of the river, things open up a lot better.
Yeah, a lot of great landing sites. So a lot of folks are probably using that high upper west wind to move out toward the river, maybe do a splash and dash, and then travel on to those landing sites out on the west side of the river.
I'm thinking about all those competitors because remember, even though the field is clear now, we're about to have an invasion of another 200, 300 balloons coming in towards us. Imagine all those competitors now who 90 minutes ago made a decision to go somewhere and say, I think I want to be here.
Right, and now they're going,
oh, yeah, because, well, and probably they've done that every 30 minutes since, because about every 30 minutes we've been able to look up and say, oh, now you're going to go this direction, and now you're going to go this direction, and as you pointed out, it's adjusted or changed yet again. This is one of those light and variable days that actually gives us some good steerage. It just doesn't stay there very long.
That's one of the great things I've always laughed at doing fly-in competitions in ballooning, because if you could imagine yourself standing on a street corner in a town where there's a balloon rally and a fly-in competition, and if you stand there, you'll see the same balloon truck probably go back and forth 3 or 4 times because you think, well, you know, what about launching it? Well, we need a little bit more left, and so you drive down the road a mile or so.
Too much left. Back.
Need a little more right. So and then you and you could probably stand on a street corner, in Winslow, Arizona, and watch the same balloon truck. And guys that went left the first time will come back going to the right, and the guys who went to the right the first time will come back going to the left. It's like a circus.
And they don't meet in the middle.
And they never meet in the middle, no. And then eventually you come upon a spot where there's 2 or 3 other guys that you know that are already starting to play. You go, this is good enough. Let's just go from here.
Yeah, that's always the way I was. It's kind of like, if I get in this general area, that ought to work.
Or, as I did in my early competition days, I just followed somebody. So if I saw a pilot like Bill Bussey or Joe Hartzell or Steve Jones, any of those folks, Pat Cannon, that I knew well and knew they were really good competitive pilots, I figured, well, if they're launching from here, they must know what they're doing. I'll just follow them. So I'll launch from here too.
Yep, there's a whole lot of that follow the leader stuff that goes on. So we are clearing the center of the field now of spectators and balloon trucks and all of those types of things. We've got our mounted patrol out there. Have you seen the mounted patrol pins this year?
I have not.
They are fabulous. I forget which anniversary it is, but it's a number of balloons and then a little horse hanging from hanging loose. So it's a multi-dimensional pin. It is very nice. If you find the horse guys out there, pick up one of their pins. It's an anniversary pin, and it's really special.
I've not really had a chance to get down onto the field just yet. We've stayed quite busy up here. I did just briefly yesterday run by and see my friend Bella over at Arizona Tube Art to thank him for a special creation that he did for a friend of mine. And just to tell him that she really loved the gift, the Arizona Tube Art the luminaria that I got for her. So I did get a chance to see him just quickly. He has a beautiful new creation that I forget how many inches wide it is, 8 or 12 inches wide. I think it's huge, and it's all special shaped balloons. And it's really
nice.
amazing. So
I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah. So that's the only vendor I've had a chance to go see so far, was to stop in and say hello over at Arizona Tube Art. But I'll get down on the field and do some pin trading and collecting at some point.
Looks like one of our Rainbow Riders balloons coming in back to land on the field here as well. I see our field crew out there putting the poles up, and the flagging is coming right along behind it. So if you are by chance still out there in the middle of the field, we need you to move to some side, either the east, north, west, or south, but outside the poles and outside the flagging.
Most everybody moves to the east because that's along Main Street where all the vendors and concessionaires are, and so you can grab a cup of hot chocolate or coffee or whatever might.
And it puts the sun at your back, so the pictures are better.
Puts the sun at your back, so the pictures are better that way. If you're over on the west side near the Arroyo, you're shooting into the sun and you get just silhouettes.
But the south end is a nice side. place to watch from as well.
So, do you know the nature of the competition we're doing this
You
morning?
know, I don't. So I'm
sure you'll find that out
going to
when
find
you're
out
on
as
your way
soon as
down.
I get out that way.
Okay.
So on Facebook, they were asking about the amount. How do we steer these balloons? What can happen with
Well,
that?
with the steering wheel, of course.
Of course. We actually had a steering wheel that we had it on an old shovel handle.
Oh, yeah.
And when people would take off with first-time people in the balloons, they'd get a few feet off the ground. Oh, you forgot the steering wheel. And of course, no, we're joking, of course. We really did have that wheel, but it doesn't do a dang thing in the balloon.
That's a great idea. I mean, I can remember I used to launch it, and we had a running joke with the crew where just as I'd get off the ground, I'd go, oh, wait, I forgot the instructions.
Yeah, or you point out the manual's here. I might ask you to read me a few pages.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just in case I need it. Here's where the flight manual is stored.
Yeah. Have you ever flown before? And they say, no. Well, neither have I.
Yeah.
Anyway, the balloon is a particle in the wind. So our steerage is literally up and down. We make the balloon go higher, we let it cool off and come lower, or we vent and it comes down. We put the balloon at the altitude that of the wind is the direction we want to go. And there's times when the wind doesn't go the direction we want to go, and so we have to find another direction and use the directions that are there by changing our altitude to find a nice, safe landing space.
Yeah, people are always asking me when they're watching balloons, well, why are some of them going up, some of them going down? Well, that's the only steerage we have is to either ascend or descend, and you do that in order to put your balloon into a different a current of air that's moving in a different direction. But now we can only move with whatever the wind allows us, and on some days like today, you can steer just about any direction you want. Other days, there may not be more than about 10 or 15 degrees of steerage available, no matter how high or low you go. The wind is blowing basically in one direction, and no matter how much you may want to go to the left or to the right, if there is not a current of wind moving in that direction, you can't get there. So we're limited. The typical answer is somebody says, well, how do you steer? Well, we go where the wind blows us. Well, that's true, but a really quality pilot, a qualified pilot, can steer the balloon by placing it in different currents of air moving in different directions, but still only so much as those currents exist within the overall wind pattern. If the wind's blowing basically north to south, you're not going to go east and west, no matter how much you may want to.
So Lisa is joining us on Facebook as well, giving us the same explanation we've done, but she adds to that the idea of the turning vents, and sometimes even just the make my balloon go up and down a little bit, you get some friction and you can get sometimes a degree or two, a little bit of turn and a little bit of adjustment in that. But as you said, it's pretty minor. If it's not going north-south, you're not going to go north-south.
Well,
either.
and earlier today we talked about, we were showing folks and talking about turning vents. There was a time when turning vents were not allowed. If you had turning vents on your balloon, you were not allowed to use them in competition, because there was a theory, there was a line of thought that if you opened that turning vent and caused the balloon to spin a bit, you could actually get an advantage moving slightly left or right that other balloons couldn't. That's basically a bunch of hogwash as far as I'm concerned. But and nowadays there's no issue.
Well, that's what I said. It's there, but it is so minor.
It's so minor, it makes
not,
no real difference.
It really doesn't.
But, but at the time,
but
this
you
is
feel
when turning
good. You
vents
feel
were
like
first
you're
around.
you feel like you're doing something though.
Yeah.
In trying to make it move that way, and
There was a time too when we were not allowed to use GPS in competition. That was felt to be an unfair advantage, and nowadays if you go to nationals or world's competition, those guys, their baskets look like the cockpit of a 747. I mean, they have multiple moving maps and tablets and 2 or 3 GPSs and wind readers and all sorts of instrumentation.
Yeah. The problem becomes distraction in there about flying the balloon, because you're watching with GPS things. Just saw a shot from our balloon cam up, and as time flies, our XTO balloon saw a shot of the west side from out there, and you got an opportunity to see some of the wide open spaces that our balloon pilots are almost all are heading across the river now. Those that have stayed up at any height at all are flying that way. There we go. Of course, now they're looking back at the city. I talked about the wide open spaces. Now they're looking back at the city. But as they look across, you start seeing that things start opening up and providing some additional landing sites as well.
Earlier today we talked about, and someone had asked on Facebook, was Lady Jester here? We talked about Carson and Martha Lane being the original owners, the fun bunch of the balloon, and just scrolling back through some of the comments on the Facebook feed, I noticed that Carson and Martha are watching this morning. So hello
good.
to my dear friends there in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Fun Bunch. We miss you guys.
Nick Donner says the turning bends don't help at all.
Well, and Nick would know. Nick
He
is
would
a 5-time national champion and a world champion as well. So if anyone knows, he would know. So thank you, Nick, for that comment. We miss you out here, by the way, buddy. Wish you were here with us.
Average time balloons stay in the air depends on the weight you're carrying, the temperature, the amount of fuel that you have available. But I think we usually say an hour flight, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. Depends on the flying area too. I know
all of that. Well, yeah, where can I land? Sometimes you take a flight and you're down in 10 minutes because that's where that's the end of the landing sites.
When I learned to fly out in Sacramento, California, I could literally fly until I exhausted my fuel, and then because you were offered flying in an inversion, which means it was cooler on the ground than it was higher up.
Right.
You could literally just fall out of the sky, and the balloon would mush down into that colder air, and because it was still hot, it would literally just come down, and it was like stepping into snow or mud. You could almost just literally fly your tanks empty and then just fall out of the sky and not hurt yourself. In Shreveport, Louisiana, where I live now, and flying there, the area is heavily wooded, not a lot of swamps, but a lot of wet area. And sometimes a 30-minute flight was a really good flight there because we had a very limited flying area in some cases, depending on what direction we're going.
And when we're flying on the west side here, 45 minutes is it's easy to get 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's easy to get an hour. Many times we'll get an hour and a half, pushing 2 hours. No sooner did that question come up, I brought it up. And by the time we provided an answer, there were a half a dozen answers giving the same thing here.
We've got a very knowledgeable
This is a fabulous
viewer base, especially on the Facebook feed. And I know there are a lot of pilots. Well, we have Nick Donner watching. I know Keith Berry, Carson and Martha, all are balloon pilots.
He should be getting on the road soon.
He will be because he's coming out here to fly Spidey Pig for Special Shapes. But, a lot of times I've seen questions come up and people are answering that and then we get the answers when we were talking about what state it was that doesn't allow self-serve gas, and there was a dozen people that all said it's Oregon. Who knew? We didn't know.
Here comes Scott McClinton and U.S. Bank,
U.S.
right?
Bank balloon right in front of our rooftop studio.
That was the crew grabs it from the back end. Pulls the top, it's going to deflate right in front of us.
I see the mounted patrol out there. We were talking about their pins earlier. They're just behind the U.S. Bank balloon, actually. I saw them out along one of the main roadways there.
And you were asking what the target competition is today. Based on the fabric that's being spread out, I think we're going to do a Sid Cutter Memorial. In fact, I think I see the boat.
Do I see the boat down along the left road?
I do. I just confirmed the boat is out there.
Is that along the west road there, I think?
It's out just off it's really more of the center road.
Okay, that's not where I thought it was.
It's just, if you see the fabric, that they're laying the white fabric out there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I said west, but
it's not.
Yep, there's the boat.
There's the boat. So we're going to do the
Sid
Cutter Memorial task today.
So you can go down there and tell folks all about that.
I will. In fact, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to start making my way.
Make your way down there?
I'm going to start making my way down there. It's going to be a few minutes or so before we actually get the competition started here. So you can rattle on for a bit, or you can take a break.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We'll leave the feed up live.
There's the boat. We can see it.
Yep. We'll be looking at live pictures from Fiesta Park, but Art is going to disconnect and get down with our mobile crew and make his way out to the target zone, and I'm just going to step off stage for a few minutes, have a cup of hot chocolate, and then come back refreshed and ready to go. And so we'll join you back in, maybe 10 minutes?
Sure. Chat among yourselves on Facebook.
Yeah, chat among yourselves on Facebook. It's
and YouTube.
It's 5 after 8 right now, so we'll come back about 8:15. We'll come back live on the feed.
So we'll be back in 10. Hang tight. Competition to come.
See you shortly. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO, a subsidiary of ExxonMobil. I'm Glen Moyer, and back, kind of feels like the old days when I used to be up here by myself on the weekends, back in the very early days, the first of my 30 years up here. Art Lloyd Jr. is making his way down onto the field with our mobile unit, and will be down in the scoring area. We still have the flagging is still underway as the scoring team are getting things set up on field, and we're still having a few balloons boxing back in and trying to, I think, land just beyond the flagging. One of those on the field now is one of our two penguin balloons, and then center of the screen that you're seeing there now is one of the bear balloons. I don't know if that's either Ray or Dave Bear, father and son team with their look-alike balloons, but they are both boxing back, and I suspect they will fly just beyond the crowd line. You can begin to see the flagging, I'm a little surprised, is actually much deeper into the field this year, meaning the crowd is able to get further out into the field than we normally do. Normally the scoring area is wider and goes almost back over to Main Street, but this morning it appears that the flagging is about midway between the easternmost road and the center road, so a little bit narrower scoring area this morning. There comes one of the penguins coming down the lane. There's a great view of one of the Rainbow Riders looking at the online feed as they are drifting over the countryside out to our, let's see, that's from our aerial balloon, so I'm not quite sure where they are. It looks like they're probably out to the west. There the camera's panning back around. Now we're back to Balloon Fiesta Park. That's, as I say, either Ray Bear or Dave Bear. I can't quite tell from the screen there. But just coming across, you see that row of white pylons you were seeing in the film, in the video there just a moment ago on the screen. That is, those are the markers that indicate the launch sites. On each one of those white pylons there will be a letter and a number. As we've talked about before, our field is laid out in a grid from going north to south, or south to north actually. It's alphabetical, A, B, C, D, E, F, etc. And then from east to west, it's numerical, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So pilots are assigned a launch site. For example, you might be in launch site C4, so that would be the third row down from the south end of the field, and then the fourth row in from Main Street. So that's how pilots find their locations, but those white pylons mark the corners of each launch site. So on each of those pylons there will actually be little letters and numbers, and you can go to that and find your launch site that way. You can look for it, as for example, as I say, if you were in launch site C4, then you simply drive around and you find those pylons that are marked C4, and you know you're in row C and row 4, and so you found your launch site. Our balloon camera team is coming in, our XTO balloon coming in, about to land. Let's watch and see. Should be a nice, easy touchdown. It looks like they're out, probably in Corrales, out on the West Mesa somewhere, the wide open spaces, the dirt roads. I've flown out on the Mesa just a couple of times back when I was a much younger pilot. A little bit of scrub brush out there, not a lot of really land, not a lot of obstacles to have to worry about, very few power lines in that area. And as we say, pretty wide open spaces. That's why a lot of the pilots were headed out to the west this morning, because as Art rightfully said, once you get on the western side of the river, then geographically the area opens up quite a bit, and you can see just wide open space, and so should be a nice easy touchdown, and just another inch or two and they'll be on the ground in our XTO balloon. Hold on. Yep, a little bit of bounce. There they are, touchdown. Little forward movement. Not too bad though. Nicely done. And coming back to the field, there are, as we see, a couple of balloons that are still just coming in to land with scoring team. You see a couple of the launch directors, that balloon to the left, the blue one with the yellow diamond in the center. A couple of the launch directors, the zebras, are there to help capture the basket, slow the balloon down. There's back to our balloon. Looks like they had just enough wind to lay the balloon over right in the bush. You're right. But that's not unusual at all, and that was a perfectly good landing. But yeah, out there, if you don't land on the road, you're going to land in the scrub brush. There's not really any two ways about it out on the West Mesa. There you see, again, either Ray or Dave, I can't tell which of the two it is, deflating the balloon. You see that big opening at the top of the balloon. Art and I have been talking about that a lot. You see how the parachute top has been pulled down inside the balloon. You can actually see it floating inside of the balloon, and all the hot air that's trapped in the envelope now is rushing out around it and going out that big hole, and as it does, the balloon literally just deflates as the air escapes and gently comes back down to the loving arms of Mother Earth, as we like to say. So nicely done there, and the team will start to squeeze the balloon where you start down at the throat. That's the part of the balloon where it attaches to the basket, and then they will gently just kind of walk from the throat all the way back out to the top, and as they do, they squeeze or push the fabric all together, and as they do, they squeeze out the last remnants of the hot air, pushing the air out and completely deflating the envelope to get the balloon packed up and ready to go. We're looking at some of the balloons now along the eastern side of the field. That pylon you see, let's talk about that for a moment. You see that big tall, well, okay, we'll go back to that shot in a moment maybe. We're back at the XTO balloon. Everybody okay? Checking in, looking into the basket where they too have deflated the balloon. You can see there is a little wind out there on the surface because the fabric below, see how that fabric's blowing in the wind? Well, that's just the wind doing that. That's not the balloon itself. So there was a little bit of wind, and that's why when they came in and touched down, it wasn't a stand-up landing, but the wind pushing the balloon over, which is, again, that's common, a common way of landing balloons. Some people see that for the first time and go, oh my gosh, they crashed. Well, no, they didn't. They just had a lay-down landing, and that's fine. There's one of those big white pylons I was going to talk about, and those are strategically placed at the four corners of the field. FAA regulations require on competition like we have today, where the pilots are flying in and into a target and there are spectators in the area, FAA regulations require that the pilots be 75 feet above the crowd. Now, once they move into the scoring area, that is the flagged off area where there is restricted access. The only people allowed inside the flagging will be our scoring officers, our launch directors, safety officials, and then for the first time, our very own Art Lloyd Jr. will be down there. But typically, spectators are not allowed inside the scoring area. And so regulations require that the balloons be at a minimum of 75 feet over the crowd as they approach the target. So those pylons are strategically located at each of the four corners of Balloon Fiesta Park, and that's a visual aid to help the pilots judge and know that their altitude is correct. If they are coming in and making an approach to the targets, coming in over the edge of the field, and they see that their basket is below the top of one of those pylons, they know they're too low. They need to get higher. They need to be above that at a minimum 75 feet, and those pylons are 75 feet tall. So that's why you see those out there. That's just an additional margin of safety that we provide for the pilots and the spectators who are on the field. Now, once they enter the scoring zone, get inside the flagging, then the pilots can dip right down to the deck. As long as they don't touch the ground. You can't touch the ground. That'll end up in penalty points. But you can literally be an inch or a half an inch off the ground and just sail along right over to the target. And the reason you want to do that is, as you will start to see in the competition, especially today, since it does appear we're doing the Sid Cutter Memorial, which involves a boat and getting your marker in the boat, then the closer you are to the ground, the more accurate a drop you can make. If you have to drop your marker from 200 or 300 feet high, you're taking kind of a shot in the dark. If you're right down on the target, you have better placement, a guaranteed placement of your marker. And Art's going to tell us a bit more about the nature of the competition, the history behind the Sid Cutter Award, or the Sid Cutter Memorial Task, rather. And I think Art is just about hooked up. Okay, Art is ready. So
I am down here, Glenn.
Where are you, Art? Where are you located?
So I'm standing kind of between the boat and what would be the island. So there is a history behind this. So the idea is that the competition was with Sid. You had to come in and you had to drop your marker on a boat that was out in the middle of a lake. And so obviously if your marker went into the lake, they couldn't retrieve it, therefore they couldn't score it. So what we have is we have a boat here in the desert, and the best scoring position is right on the bow of that boat. And the boat is basically right off my shoulder over here. We'll get closer as we get through the day, and we're going to watch for that. So there is actually an X that's off the bow of the boat. That's kind of the 0 point, except that the bow is really 0. So even the best score is actually about 13 feet or so. Now, what we've also done, because if you drop your marker on land, we've created an island out here as well, and I think we can swing around to my right here. There is a nice big white area, and so that is the island, and if you land your marker in there, you will get points as well. Anywhere else in the grass typically has been no score because that was considered the water. Now, because this is the first day of competition and it's a cumulative score over the 4 days of competition, we really wanted everybody to start off the week with some good scores. So we've adjusted the scoring on this Sid Cutter Memorial a little bit this year so that even if you're outside the island or off the boat here, we're going to score your marker. What will happen, though, is there will be a 300-foot additional distance added on. So if you're just offside the boat, you'll be that, whatever that footage is, plus 300 feet.
Oh.
So we're going to have a whole lot of scores in this area. Yeah, so people get scores even when they're not in here. It's just that plus 300 feet on the end there. So again, they're looking at the boat. Here comes Kathy's Hope in, going to be way off to the west of the boat target. But I think so they're going to be off on the west end side of the marker out here. We'll be able to see that there is actually a couple of little island pieces a little farther out as well. Fabric being the key inside that other space, but the best score right on the boat itself. So yes, they're all starting to come in. We're going to get a little closer, and we'll help you call it from here as we go.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear and our viewers are clear, the best possible score is physically on the bow of the boat. Then the next best score would be on one of the designated land areas. And then
it could be somewhere within the boat as well, because we're going to measure from the center of the X.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, so you could be
so in the boat is good, but not
itself.
as good as on the bow of the boat.
Yeah, it's kind of like, there's when we throw out a regular X, you could hit the leg of the X, but the best part is the center there. So the best point is right on the bow. Obviously, if you're in the boat, that's good. If it falls out of the boat, it's that distance plus 300. So you have to be on the boat or on the fabric.
But now, if you are
to avoid that 300 pieces.
And if you score on one of the islands, if you land your marker there, you get that distance, and you don't suffer the $300-foot water penalty, basically.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That is exactly right.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
So, by the way, just so folks know, Jewel Cutter, Sid's widow, is out here, as she usually is for this competition, and she is the one that on Saturday at our awards ceremony will award the winner of this competition with that very nice commemorative plate.
Yes.
About the Sid Cutter Memorial task that we have that we're flying here today.
And this all goes back to the years when Sid Cutter flew in the national championships, and there was a competition where there was a target that was on a lake, I think it was, or a small pond maybe.
I believe it was, and I've heard a couple different versions of the story, so I hate to repeat one, and then everybody says, that's not the way it was.
Yeah, the people on Facebook will tell us.
Yeah, they will. So I should have done my homework better and have all the specifics. I mean, I know the general story as I explained it to you and as you've reiterated back, but all those specifics
they're a little fuzzy on me. So
Yeah, I'm the same way.
So actually,
know
I
that-
see one of our racers coming in. He may be a little bit to the east of us. I'm going to go get a little closer and see if I can get the banner number there. That's the nice thing about being out here in the middle. We'll be able to catch that. But I see a whole bunch. In fact, we talked about racers, Glenn. We've got a whole bunch of racers coming into us. Coming in, and here comes one of the two of the Dawn Patrol balloons coming along the west side of the field. 3 of them, I think.
Yeah, I
as
see.
They continue to box around.
I see Rick Jones up there, and the Oasis.
the Fly Oasis balloon.
Right.
Yep. And is that Michael Scott farther up? I think it is, with the green bottom going into the gold, white, and the red.
No, I don't think that's Michael. I think his is slightly different colored. I don't believe that's Michael.
Yeah.
I'll check.
But I think that is one of. Here's one of the Hartzels making their first
I was going to
pass
say,
overhead
be careful
as well.
because the Hartzels, I see 2 of the Hartzels, one flying high overhead. Actually, all 3, if you look high, Art, are lined up. One over the field, one slightly further out, and one even further out that's now making a descent.
I see him.
Also in the distance,
see him.
if you look straight south, straight north, Art, you'll see Gary Haven in his racer. That's the yellow one with the Texas Star and the racing, the checkerboard racing stripes down the side of the balloon, and just beside him is one of the penguins, either Puddles or Splash.
It's the red skirt, so it's the female.
So that would be
the penguin balloon.
Splash. Yeah, that would be Splash then.
So this is banner number 103, this black with the yellow and blue. Dropped his marker off the center of the, I have to get closer to, so he's off the leg of one of those extra little island pieces. Actually, those are the islands out there. This is the land behind us. So we have our first score, if you will. Yeah, we're going to wander in a little closer here.
What's also going to be happening, just so the spectators on the field know in particular, once the balloons make their pass and they've dropped their marker, many of them will, if they can, land on the field. That's happening over in the southeast corner here now, that blue and purple balloon just coming to a landing. The Carnival balloon landed there. And so a lot of these balloons will, in fact, as they come out of the scoring area, begin to land. So if you're in those areas as spectators, you need to be particularly careful, especially once we get a lot of the competitors flying in.
So the balloon that made that first pass there is Mark Trianis flying skinny stuff. Hi, Jewel.
Hi.
How are you? Good to be out here with you guys. Good morning, Sam. So we are live on Balloon Fiesta Live from out here with our camera. No. You have to get really close. Jules' camera and microphone shy. But
that looks like Jonathan Wright, who's down. I'm sorry, Art, at the north end of the field. I get my directions mixed up down here. That blue balloon with the sort of lightning bolt red and purple lightning bolts in it, that teal blue, that is Jonathan Wright in his racing balloon there, about center of the north end of the field.
I was just going to tell you that we had a great shot yesterday of the 2 balloons, those chain balloons. They're more of the one is the racer shape that you just described, and the other one is the regular round shaped balloon. We had a great shot of that yesterday to show you the difference between those 2.
You've actually got 3 racers lined up in a row there.
A lot of maneuvering. Yeah. A lot of maneuvering going on just out on the north end of the field.
You can see the racer that's green with the kind of yellow and orange diamonds in the center. It's closest to you, and then you've got the one just behind him, red with multicolored arrows, it looks like. And then a little further out, one that has a black and white spiral climbing through it, and further behind that is one of the Hartzels. 2 of the Hartzels are out there. 3 of the Hartzels. I see all 3 of them now.
1, 2, 3. I thought there were, I see them all. Yep. They're all checking their own altitudes to see.
That, of course, is Joe and his 2 sons, Rhett and Lucas Hartzell.
Right. So the orange, yellow, green one here has a nice line coming in on the boat. We'll see if that continues to come through. The other thing you'll see about these racers is the fact is that they are usually flying solo in the balloon. Gives them less weight and more maneuverability, able to put more heat in the top. Again, they can come right down to the ground without touching the ground, without getting any kind of penalty. So getting the marker in his hand,
Looks like he has a very
Ben
good
or
line.
205. He does.
I'm watching through our Canon binoculars.
Daniel Liberti coming right over the top.
Ready to
leaning
drop.
over. And there's the throw. Just over the edge.
Oh, no.
One of those momentum throws that
He had a great line, and I think his marker, as you heard Art say, I think we just lost Art for a moment, his marker went just to the outside edge of the boat. I'm trying to watch through my Canon binoculars here and see what Art is seeing. Art is, of course, up close. 2 more balloons coming in, both with a very good line. This red racing balloon with the interlocking red, blue, and yellow diamonds outlined in silver. Looks to have a good line. And there's another round balloon just behind him. Black, white, red, and orange. Both of them making nice approaches. Okay. Okay, very good. We think we're just changing batteries on the camera out in the field there. I didn't see markers get dropped. I'm sure they probably did. That's one of the great advantages this year of having Art down at the target is even with these great Canon binoculars that we have, it's sometimes a little difficult to pick out the markers. Yeah, both pilots are now beyond the target zone, so I'm sure they dropped their markers. I didn't see anything, and I didn't see any reaction from the officials. So I'm pretty sure neither one of them made it into the boat, but still probably got a very good score. You'll hear us talking about the Hartzels. They are, 3 of them are here in identical balloons. You can see there's one of them right there. They're called Texas Racer, and they're royal blue with white stars around the equator, and then the horizontal bands, checkered bands, and they all have red scoops. I mean, they're identical balloons, so it's impossible for us sometimes to tell you who's in which one, but it's Father Joe and then son Rhett and Lucas. Joe is a 5-time national champion. Rhett is just won his 3rd national championship just a few weeks ago, and is a 2-time world champion. Lucas, Joe was telling me the other day, is a better pilot than either he or Rhett, but Lucas doesn't get to fly much competition. Now, here comes one of the Hartzels dropping very rapidly down just over the boat. You can see the bottom of the balloon, the throat of the balloon kind of sucking in, becoming rather loose and wavy as it falls, and then he puts some heat into the balloon that rounds itself back out. I don't think he's going to be terribly excited with that position because as he fell down, dropped out of the sky, the balloon pushed over to the west, and so difficult for him to get close to the target. So I don't think whichever of the Hartzels that was, I don't think they dropped. I think they'll probably try to get back up high and make another box attempt around. Both of the other 2 Hartzels, again, it's impossible, I apologize, but it's impossible to tell you which is which. Even with the binoculars, I can't really get tight enough to tell and see who's in the basket, though I think, no, that one has silver on it. I think that might be Joe, closest to us at this point. I would hazard a guess to say that is, just from what I can see through my binoculars. I think that's Joe Hartzell, who's the lower of the 2 balloons, making his approach. Right in front of him, another of the racers. Just trying to see if I can tell any better looking at the screen. You can see that's one of the 2 Hartzell balloons there. Actually, no, it's not. That's the other balloon to the side there. There's the boat, the Sid Cutter Memorial Target. There's one of the Hartzell balloons. And I believe that is Joe in that one that we see there, pulling on the vent, trying to get the balloon to descend. As we said, once they're inside the scoring area, they can get down just as low as they need to. And got the marker over the side. Looks like, did he just drop the marker? I think maybe. Yep, looked like he just did. Just a little bit right near the the roadway across from the target, climbing up now, followed in by the second of those two balloons. There, again, you can see why it's hard for us to see who's in which ones. There is no distinguishing mark between either one of the three balloons. They all are exactly identical, and it's always frustrating when I'm out doing a race with Joe and Brett and Lucas, because they don't do anything to help me figure out which one of them is in which balloon. I said, fly a flag off the crown line, or change the color of the scoop, or do something, just so that we can kind of tell the difference. Someone on Facebook asking any idea what the wind speed is. I really don't have a good idea. I don't have my portable wind meter here with me. I sometimes carry one. I would say it's not terribly fast, maybe 5 to 7 miles per hour perhaps, if that. It's still quite fairly reasonably calm this morning. Not a great deal of speed, it doesn't appear to be.
All right, Glenn, I think we're back with you.
Okay, good. I know we had one Hartzell make an approach, and the other two have gone by, one after the other now.
Yep, Joe and one of the boys were the ones that were too far to the west. I didn't catch which one was right over us, but they did not drop. The balloons that the pilots that have dropped, I saw Bruce Wood come by and Daniel Liberty come by and Sean Rea come by. They all had good drops, but they threw and let that marker go just a hair too late, and so they're just on the south side of the boat. So if they had thrown just a little bit sooner, we're going to see if we can save this one here. Yep, and a little drag with 193. And then 206, the more round one with the teal, the pink, and the yellow. He's just kind of skimming along. So we've had a few throws. I see a couple in on the land, maybe 3 or 4 out on that big land spot, which is south of the boat. There's another one, just came from that banner number 193. He's the one that hit the ground there. So while that'll be a score, there'll probably be some sort of penalty with that as well.
And just so you know, Art, now we're getting into that position where the balloons, once they've made their drop on the target, they're coming to the south end of the field and landing, which blocks my view. So we're really going to have to count on you as far as showing us what's happening at the target. One of the St. Jean balloons, the St. Jean de Richelieu balloon, flying overhead. Both of I think Joe and the other Hartzell are landing here side by side. And Steve Jones is in this group that's coming to land. His balloon is that golden yellow top with the orange checkered pattern at the bottom. There is Splash, the little female penguin rather. I see her flying along, headed over toward the scoring zone, or actually to the spectator zone. Looks like they've already passed through the scoring zone and are probably coming into land. Sherry White is to your west there, Art, in the Touchstone Energy balloon.
Oh, she has already actually passed me. So I'm looking off to the side. So she's off to the I'm probably about 30 feet away from the boat, off on the opposite end of the bow.
Okay.
It's the stern end.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see. So you guys down there in your yellow vest now.
Yeah. Standing here with Jewel and Sam Parks. Paul Smith is down here. We got our photographers and our scoring officials, safety officials all down here.
Well, Gary Haven is making an approach. That is Gary right there online we're looking at. That bright yellow racer with the Texas Star.
Yellow with the Texas Star?
Yep, that's Gary Haven.
I was just going to say, I think he's I see the red racer up above. I think that's probably Gary Cass.
Could be.
He's got a great line, except he's high.
He's very high. That's where I was talking earlier.
He's got a good line, but he is very high. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking earlier about how the pilots, ideally, you want to come right in, and we were talking about you could skim the ground once you're in the target zone, because that's where you have the most accuracy with your marker drop. You don't want to be dropping up high. Gary Haven there.
Yeah, you have to really adjust for that momentum when you're coming through, which is it's still a little quick right here on the ground. Even though those 3 or 4 that scored here, they were moving pretty fast. And like I said, if they had dropped their marker probably about 1.5 or 2 seconds sooner, they would have been right here on the boat. Looks like Gary's going to end up to the west of the boat.
Well, somebody was
Johnny
asking.
Petron's bringing Cannon in here as well.
Yeah, I see that. Someone was asking what the wind speed was, and I was saying maybe 5 to 7. You're saying maybe it's a little speedier than that?
I'd say more on the 7.
Okay.
So that red racer, which I think might be Gary, see how he's dropped in quickly now.
Yeah. Gary Haven still looks to have a good line to me.
He should level out nicely. He's off to the west. He's going past the front of the boat right now, but he's off to the west.
Too far west.
As is the red one.
So Johnny Petrin might have a good line. If he doesn't drift too far to the east.
He has a better line, exactly.
And dropping high above you.
Johnny's still... Oh, coming in, the green one with the blue.
Yeah, that's that is Dr. Bill Bussey in that black balloon with the green and blue.
Right,
yep.
yeah.
Bill Bussey coming in from Longview, Texas.
I actually identify him in the basket now. See, he needs to drop right now if he was going to hit the boat. He's just gone over the boat. Good morning, Dr. Bill. He's got his marker out. He's going to attempt for the land area, which is just to the south of us. That's a big area you can hit. And that's one of those take the safe score versus the not so safe score.
Don't get greedy, we sometimes say.
So Johnny's now, yeah, exactly. So Johnny's now to the east of the boat. Of course, not competing. So I think he'll drift off to the far side and probably land on the field.
And if you look out ahead of Johnny,
but that kind of shows you...
I'm sorry, there's Rick Jones. I was just one of our Dawn Patrol balloons, that yellow, blue, and orange spiral. Yeah, that's Rick Jones.
So, but taking a look at Johnny's line, you could drop down and actually drift back over to the boat.
But you say Johnny is not competing because he's flying for Canon, our presenting sponsor?
I think that's it.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Because he also, yeah.
You know who I see out there, Art? If you look high and not too far out, there's Maury Petrin. That's his white racer with that bright pink cross in it, and then those pastel colors of purples and yellows and oranges and blues in it. You see him?
Oh yeah, up higher.
Yeah,
I was not looking high enough.
Yep.
Up high. Yeah. Here comes Brad Rice in the pink with the blue, pink hearts and the white around it. Brad Rice. He's going to be too far to the west as well. Right behind him, Blair Kaufman in the red, white, and blue, flying the banner for CNM.
I always
the local community college.
Hearts of Fire.
So Brad's dropping on the island. Yeah, nice drop by Brad in Hearts of Fire.
Hearts of Fire is one of my favorite balloons. When I was first out here back in 1984, I took a picture of
Brad.
it and ended up selling it to a postcard company in Texas. And
now,
yes,
Blair has got. I'm going to interrupt here. Blair is with the red, white, and blue. Has got a great line coming in on the boat here. He's going to drift right over the bow. Now it comes down to the throw. There's the drop.
We're watching it.
He's in the boat.
All right.
He's in the boat.
So that's our best score so far, right?
That's the best score so far. That's correct. That's the best score so far. Blair Kaufman, formerly from Albuquerque, now from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Blair and his wife are the folks that told me about pet cameras for the first time that I now have to monitor my cats when I'm away.
So we have another racer, black and white checker spiral going up with the rainbow colors going up around that. That is 191.
Where did Maury? Oh, Maury's up way high. I see him now. I was looking to see
Maury went back. Yeah, Maury went back up high. So this is Chris Kleiber in Happy Hour. He's going to be west of the boat.
Looking out beyond you, I can see Paul Petrin in the Phillips 66 balloon, and a little around to the more to the east, the Slanger Racer balloon, the New Mexico Tartan balloon is out there, Jeff Ashworth.
Yes, I've been watching Paul in the Phillips 66 balloon kind of do some maneuvering here, trying to figure out. It's kind of like, it's really interesting. We talked about Johnny Petrin and Cannon, finding that level that will take you to the southwest. But as Blair came over in his Stars and Stripes balloon, he had more of a direct south pattern. And the New Mexico Tartan balloon with Jeff Ashworth, he's got that direction going off to the east now.
I
so
see
it's
that.
kind of like it keeps changing. You see that? He's
Yeah.
headed off to the southeast now, so he's going to end up too far to the east. But Paul Petrin back in Phillips 66 has kind of gone back to the west to try and bring that line back out, I
and
think.
use that eastern flow to bring you back into the target. I think that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
Maury Petrin is dropping rapidly now up above you, trying to get down into the flow.
Oh, here he comes. Yep.
We'll have to. What you need to do is to fall through that easterly push if you can.
He's going to need just a little bit of it, but not much. So yeah, being able to put the he's got a hand on each burner, firing both burners to make that stop that descent. And look at there, look at how it stopped. Now he's pulling on the vent.
Unfortunately, Hearts of Fire is blocking my view, so I can't see Maury now.
Okay, so Moyer's going to make a nice pass here. He's winding up. He's going to go right over the top of the boat. It's out.
There he is.
It's in the boat.
He's in the boat. All right. We did get to see the drop on
Banner
camera.
number 1.
Maury is the 2-time defending champion. He's going for a three-peat here this week, and he's off to a great start, that's for sure.
He's pretty pumped.
I bet he is.
How far, Paul?
I don't know that we've ever had a three-peat champion.
3 feet from... I don't know. Maury's drop is about 3 feet from the bow.
Wow.
Here comes G-Daddy. He's going to have a great line onto this as well.
And that is Thomas Hora from Germany flying G-Daddy.
Yep. So he's going to come right over the boat as well. He's got his purple marker out, photographer in hand. There's Tomas. There's the throw. He's in the center of the boat as well.
Outstanding. So that's at least 3 in the boat so far this morning.
That is right.
Now, what about this rainbow?
Check and see whether.
What about this racer, the rainbow with the black and white? Is he too far? Is he already past the boat?
Not sure. The next one in on the boat is going to be the red one with the yellow and green equator.
Okay, yeah, the one I'm looking at, I think, he's well beyond the boat. He's back behind you, the racer with the black and white spiral.
Yes.
Okay.
He's almost, he's actually out of the target area already.
Yeah, now I can see the one you're talking about, the red one with the green and yellow around the equator. Yep, we've got him.
Yes.
And right behind it, there's that, I think that's that solid green balloon that says Slansha on the side we were talking about earlier this morning. Ken Drawn.
It is. He's landing out there on the north end.
Ken Drawn is a little wide.
This banner number doesn't match a...
Sorry, Ken Drawn is a little wide of the target. Ken flying his
This is
balloon.
Jason Buckner here. The line wasn't quite right, so he's gonna go up. I'm not sure he's going to drop here. Paul Petrin in Phillips 66. Jason's going to try and wind that up and throw it back. It's going to come right down on top of us. So we have this other kind of a rainbow, starts dark at the bottom, going light, going up. The Viva Cameron, you would recognize what I'm talking about there. Great drop. Good morning. Waving at us here. He had a nice drop on the, I think it was a good drop out there on one of our islands. Now a whole series of balloons that seem that they're going to end up on the west side of the boat. I see our saguaro cactus just passing on there on the far side. Humpty Dumpty's going to be over on the west side of the field with Rich Lawhorn.
Yeah, and down below him is Dale Wong from Rancho Cucamonga.
Yep.
The green balloon with the yellow, blue, purple, pink, and vertical accents there.
I think this little drift to the southeast is being missed by many of our pilots. It's a pretty narrow layer of wind direction that takes you that way. And so most of them are still in that north to south flow and missing this little left hook.
If you look directly
north.
north.
It looks like Dale just got it. Dale just got the hook there, but it's going to be too late to get here to the boat.
A couple of more racers directly to your north, Art. If you look right down the road, one of them up high is Meg Skelton in her Dragon balloon, so she'll be making an approach shortly. Maharani is the name of the balloon. Also in that mix art is that yellow racer with, that is, the yellow racer with the mustache.
Zarek Wells with the mustache.
Yeah, Zarek Wells, thank you.
Zarek Wells. And then the yellow without the mustache, same altitude but farther to the east. That's one of the Curves balloons.
Okay.
That racer, that's another one of those yellow racers. I'm not remembering. Here, I see Sunflyer up there as well. Blue one with the yellow Zia.
Right, yeah, we see that.
Okay. So he is, he's caught that direction to the southeast, but again, a little bit too late. Meg may have gotten it too early.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like she's going to get pushed off to the east before she can get to the target, unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah, I think she caught that direction a little bit too soon, although watching the other racer that's coming in that I haven't caught who it is yet, blue, it's got a lot of black checkerboards on it. Depending on what angle you're looking at it, it's blue or yellow or orange or green or red. I'm seeing the blue and yellow side. He's going to drift right down. This is interesting because Meg and him are probably within about the same altitude, within a couple of feet. Meg is drifting to the southeast, while the other one is drifting south with even a hint to the west. He's going to reach out and throw on the island. Nice throw on the island over there. Meg's going to throw on the east island.
Well, and I was watching in Zarek Wells, as he was descending, he got pushed out to the west.
All the way up, yeah. So Meg drops on the fabric of the island.
Good for Meg. Good for her.
Yeah, Zarek never caught the east there.
No, he never got the. See, he's still getting pushed off to the Arroyo.
Got him. Yep, he still is. And we got a multicolor blue drop, multi-blue color shades dropping in. Interesting, the tactics. Do you kind of come in and slide in, or do you fly high and drop in?
Well, and I haven't seen many of the pilots.
I think we need basket banners on two sides.
I think so. I haven't seen many pilots boxing. Those who've missed the target really trying to box back, go up and box back. A lot of them are coming on down here and landing, and so our view is really restricted right now from up here on the rooftop. And you're familiar with that, having been up here with me. Humpty coming in.
I do. It's really great being down here in the middle of all this. It's really great.
Humpty Dumpty just came in for a pretty solid landing.
I'm not sure. The box to get back north is so high and so slow.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a whole lot of patience to make that happen. Hey, our balloon of the day is coming over Concession Row on the far east side. Yellow one with the kind of maroon and orange slight spiral going around the equator. Visit Albuquerque, the banner.
Oh, I see it now.
Dave Eichhorn with Marauder's Mark. He's over on the far east side of the field.
He was first.
He was the first guy off this morning
with the American flag.
and he's made it back here. So it's certainly possible to get back here. It's a matter of how long do you want to wait to make that happen.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, as I'm looking at the sky, there's still a lot of balloons up there, but it's not nearly as many as I would have expected to see. I think a lot of guys are making one pass and they're done.
Well, and I heard on the radio earlier this morning, too, that there were a number of guys, and maybe this was because of the very early winds and how fast they were. A number of the some of the guys were saying, I think I'd just rather fly today than rather do the competition.
Okay.
So we may have had a few more fun flyers, Fiesta flyers, if you will, go off earlier. Rather than to fly this competition. It's always pilot's choice. We talked earlier about while there's some serious competition going on here, there's still a whole lot of let's have a lot of fun flying in competition as well. And then the other thing we talk about too is, especially you and I have talked about this a lot. Hey, if we got to see the target, that's number one with us, if we even saw the target.
Yeah, I can remember the year that I scored pretty well at an event up in Nashville, Tennessee, and I remember hearing Dr. Bill Bussey on the radio saying, who's going to win this thing is Glen Moyer if he doesn't scare himself because he's so close to the target. Yeah. Which is an indication that I wasn't always around the target when I was flying competition. I saw it a lot of times. I didn't always do very well with the marker drop.
Yeah, I think I got, when I was a student pilot, it was probably the best drop I ever had on the target. Way up high, he's probably close to 1,000 feet above us, red at the bottom with blue on the top and a yellow sun in that. He is like directly over the boat. If he could make a marker drop straight and not be impacted by any wind, he'd have a great drop, but it's really difficult to make that happen from that high.
Looking at here's a comment on Facebook you'll enjoy, Art. Patty Nagel Hansen says, as a seasoned target team person, I 10 million % agree that we need numbers on both sides of the baskets.
You know, I'm going to put that in my debrief with Balloon Fiesta after this is over.
Well, it never fails that, you know, the side of the basket of the balloon that we can see is always on, the banner's always on the other side and the basket banner's always on the other side. You know, it just works out that way.
That multi-shade of blue that came in a few moments ago that dropped in really fast, I don't know what kind of shot we got of that, but we were talking about the technology stuff before. A nice big iPad, appeared to be an iPad, could have been one of those other brands, mounted up fairly high on the uprights as he came through. Of course, when you're this close, you're not watching that. And this is the one with the green equator and the rainbow colors going above it, the yellow and orange along the west side of the field.
West, yeah.
That's another one of those that's one of those two-seat chariots.
Oh, okay.
That's what it looks like from here.
Now, I think if you look around to your right,
you know what? That might be Michael Glen. That might be Michael Glen over there.
Oh, you're right.
I think
the
that's
rolling
Michael's.
pilot.
It looks like Michael's chariot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Michael.
Michael, for those that don't know it, is the world's first wheelchair-bound balloonist. He was lost the use of his legs in a tragic auto accident some years ago, and his dad was just honored with an award from the Balloon Federation of America just the other day. Bill Glen, and yeah, that looks like that is Michael there to the right. Or my left. If you look around more to the center line at the north end, see that multi-shade blue racer coming at you? Blue with the white and...
yes.
I think, I'm not quite sure if that's Richard Sabin or not. I don't know if Richard's here, but that looks a little bit like his balloon. I could be wrong about that. But it looks like
he's going to get he's got a nice line on the island.
I was going to say, look at what he's found, though.
On the island, he won't get to the boat.
Yeah, but he's coming from the southeast to the northwest, so he's got an entirely different drift across the field.
It's really just a south. It's really just kind of a straight south there.
Okay, because it looks like he
had reach up. Yeah, there, just dropped it right into the island there.
Okay, because it looked like he was moving a little more to my left. You say that does look like Rich? I think that's his balloon.
It does.
And I saw Sandy Graff here earlier this week, so I'm pretty sure Richard is here as well. Richard Sabin out of Longview, Texas. Or Henderson, Texas, I guess, which is a kind of a suburb there of Longview.
So, yep, we've got a little pause here. We were talking about the teal balloon with the teal racer with the kind of chain. It's not really a chain, but it's kind of the jagged squares on it. That was here when I first got out here.
Yep.
He did manage to box around.
I was gonna say,
he's now high,
really
on
high,
kind of the northwest corner of the field.
Yeah, I see him now.
But we've seen these racers drop in, you know, from hundreds of feet like that, and boy, they're down here in 15 seconds or so.
Well, that's one of the features of the racer, is that they can ascend and descend much more rapidly than a standard round balloon, and they don't deform like a round balloon. When you put it into a terminal descent, and I remember my 77 cubic foot round balloon, my terminal descent velocity was only about 900 feet per minute. These racers can fall at speeds of upwards of 1,500 feet per minute, I think.
Yep. And then, as we saw Maury Petrin do, you just lay on both burners to stop it before you get down to the ground.
It's kind of like just, you really, you know, with the burner, normally if you're in a descent, you can just tap on the burner. It's kind of like tapping the brakes on your car, or you can really just kind of slam on the brakes. And that's what Maury was doing with those dual burners, double burners on full bore as he was making that descent. When you really want to stop, once you get your balloon into that wind pattern, into that current that you want, you really want to stop it. You don't want to fall through it or you lose the turn.
So this is this next one that I think is going to have the best line. It's one with the big patches. So from our angle, I can see white and black. There's some other colors, but they're
like
the
blue
big
and green,
squares or
yeah.
the big vertical rectangles on it. Yeah, it's got blue, green, pink, red, all those colors around it. So he's a little bit to the west of the road, and of course we want to be east of the road. But if I continue to watch, there's still a direction back to the southeast. So we'll see if he can get low enough to get into that to come this way, or is he going to take the safe throw on the island, which is he's going to go right over the edge of the island out there. So we'll continue to watch and see what they decide to do. It doesn't look like they've caught that. It's one of those things that this direction to the southeast is so shallow out here that, boy, it's real easy to miss it or not be in it. It's almost like it's even, you have to be on the east side of the road to go east. If you're on the west side of the road, it goes west.
It goes
it's
west,
like there's
yeah.
a funnel that's splitting you. In fact, that's exactly what's happening. So you got a nice throw on the island, while over here on the east side of the field, yeah, it's like there's a wall going down the road, and with the other side of the road you're on, you're going to go that direction. They're splitting apart. Maybe it's all the hot air where I'm standing that I'm causing it, maybe.
Yeah, could be you're having an impact on the competition down there.
Yeah. Boy, we shouldn't say that too loud, right?
Yeah, because you could bet someone's going to file a protest. It was all because Art Lloyd and his camera were down in the scoring zone.
Yeah, it was all because you put the Balloon Fiesta live camera down there.
That's right. That messed all the wind flow up. Way out in the distance, I don't know if you can see it. I had a view just a moment ago. Osito Bimbo is way out there. I'm not sure if he's actually flying competition or just flying.
I do see him.
But he's out there looking straight to the north, a little bit of west of the field there.
He took off from the field, didn't he?
He did.
I think he took off from the field. So if you take off from the field,
so he's not competition
not
flying.
competing.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes those guys like to just get here anyway. So
well, we talked about the typical length
blue
of a
racer with the.
Go ahead.
What's that? Oh, I was going to say this blue racer. From my angle, I see black and white checkerboards going up the side. From your angle, you probably see diamonds of multicolors, yellow, red, etc.
Right, exactly.
He's off to the a little bit off to the east side here. That's Brandon Bloom in Royal Racer.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we were talking earlier today about the typical length of a balloon flight, 45 minutes to an hour, and yet here at Albuquerque sometimes pilots do fly hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and Osito Bimbo has been in the air for a while now, and he's still out there.
So I was just talking about Brandon there a moment ago. He was the youngest National Balloon Classic champion back in 2013. So I'm keeping my eyes on the teal one up there. I can't remember which right is flying that one. But he's managed to drift back over. He's dropped altitude just a little bit. And so
I'll see if I can
continuing to work the angle.
Call him up in the spotting chart here and let you know. "110" is the banner number on that. And I'm back where I can't see my iPad
Are you using
screen.
your binoculars to see that?
No, actually, the folks in the truck told us that, so one of the cameramen got a good shot of it.
"111" is not that balloon.
I think he said 110. 110.
101, I think it is. Well, he's too high, and I didn't bring my binoculars out here. I didn't have enough hands. Going right over the crowd on the east side of the field, mostly yellow, a little bit of orange and maroon at the bottom. That's Neil Smith.
No, 101 is one of the 101
first
is one of
light.
The, yeah, 101 is the one of the tie-dye balloons. So it's not that.
Yes, except Jason Buckner flies one of those balloons, so this could be a second balloon, or they put a second pilot on one of the others. So it's probably one of those, we switched balloons or we switched pilots on us. And so what was registered is not what's actually being flown today.
Oh, could be. Okay. I've got a great shot with my binoculars of the banner, but it's still just far enough away that I can't quite make out the numbers. See if I can.
Yeah, it's actually turned the right direction for you.
Yeah, it is. He's facing right at us, but even with my Canon binoculars, I can't get close enough in to read the numbers on it.
Are we closing at 9:30, Sam? Yeah, so the target closes at 9:30.
Okay.
So we have 20 minutes left. So watch him come in now here. He's making that drop, planning to get that direction to the southeast, I'm sure. He's watched a number of people.
He's dropping
He's
rapidly.
actually being followed in. There's much higher and coming down almost the same. Yellow spiral with purple and blue spiral. He's going to kind of follow him in. Now see what happened here? He got down to that level, and what happened? He goes west again because he's west of the road.
And that blue-yellow spiral balloon is banner 126, by the way.
Okay.
So I'm going to look and see if I can tell you who that is real quickly.
126 should be Alex Bartra, but that his balloon doesn't match either. But again, like we've talked about for 2 days, a lot of these guys were bringing a couple or 3 balloons here. They'll fly their regular round-shaped balloon on mass ascension fun times.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to competition, they'll pull out the racer.
Yeah, you're right. The banner number does not match the balloon pictured. So it may be, you're right, they've switched to a different envelope for the competition. Did you get a banner number on the teal balloon there yet? He's down low close to you now, or has he passed you?
He's actually just even with us, but the basket turned just enough so that it goes the other side.
Well, by the way, several folks on Facebook saying they agree with you about having basket banners on both sides, so that's a popular option. I can see the banner, but I still can't quite make the...
So we'll see if the yellow and purple spiral racer that's coming in, if that same thing happens to happen. Right behind him is Eric Greenwood in the yellow balloon with the red shape of New Mexico on the side. In fact, look at all those regular balloons. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 regular shaped balloons that are coming in, and they're going southeast, but the racer drops in, and there's a west component to that. It is really interesting that there's just like a wall. You're going to go around the boat. So he's going to be able to have a nice drop on the island out there. In fact, that looks like his game plan. He's got marker in hand. Down about 4 feet off the ground. Is he going to drop on there? Yep, goes for the corner. Because remember, even these islands are measured from the center of the X. So the closest in part of that island is what you want to hit there. I think I'm going to be able to see this banner. 018. 018.
Well,
would be. There it is. Heffron in Bright Idea. I should have known that.
Well, and the teal racer,
because
I was going to say the teal racer, just so we can solve that
land
mystery.
Right in front of you.
Yeah, that is banner number 088, and that is Thomas Wright in the balloon called Unchained.
There we go. I knew it was one of the Wrights, but I couldn't remember which one.
I was thinking it was Jonathan, but it's actually Thomas Wright flying that. So, yeah, he landed right here in front of us. And I finally got a good look at the banner. It was 088.
And so Heffron with the racer, the yellow one with the purple that we talked about, he's got a regular shape in the same pattern as the racer that's coming towards you.
Okay, all right. So that explains why the picture
He had a great
match.
drop on the island.
So if we're closing at 9:30,
we get a shot at this time.
Only got about 15 minutes, a little over 15 minutes of competition left. Not a lot of balloons still in the sky.
And while there's And while there's a kind of a lull or a little space between some balloons in here, we take our camera here from Tom here. Our scorers are actually out here starting to measure those that drop just outside the boat. And we'll see if we can get a picture inside the boat right after that. So they measure to the weighted part of the baggie, because there's a weight, there's I think it's like 3.5 ounces or 4 ounces of something inside of that. And so they're measuring to the closest part of that from the center of that X. How you doing? Good. A 2-person team on each one of those so that they can verify that score. And Tom, can we see inside the boat? So there's the markers. Once Tom comes up, there will be the markers inside the boat. They haven't measured those, but of course it's still off to the center of the X inside the boat. So these outside will have that distance plus 300 feet at it.
Somebody commenting on Facebook how they'd love to be at the peak of the Sandias and watching that. I can tell you, you actually wouldn't see that much from that far away. Now, being on the peak to watch the balloon glow, that's a lot of fun. That's actually quite a nice sight. But the peak of the Sandias, you'd be quite some distance from the park. The time to be at the peak of the Sandias is for sunset. Have a nice little toddy in your hand and just watch the sunset over the western mesa. We always like to go up to High Finance.
And there's a great new restaurant up there now.
I was just saying.
It's no longer High Finance.
Okay.
They've rebuilt the restaurant up there. It's now called 10-3, and it's actually a little higher class. Actually, there's 2 restaurants up there. A little higher class one as more of a pub type one up there. Just opened like about 6 weeks ago at the top of the mountain. So High Finance, unfortunately, not up there anymore. Hey, this is Kelly Keller in the blue racer with the red and white around the equator.
Yeah. Kelly and I had a phone conversation just the other day.
So she's west of the boat. She has passed that. So now she's shooting for the landmass, which is that big white rectangle fabric that we have just south of us. She'll be nicely in the center of that. And so now she gets the drift to the east. She needed that sooner.
Well, if she's got a good arm, maybe she can throw back to the boat.
No, she's way too far. She's just nicely inside the landmass here, which is where you want to be in that landmass, because again, we measure to the center of the X out here by the boat. So we've got this yellow one with the orange darts in it dropping in quickly, putting a lot of heat in the balloon to stop that descent. But he's west of the road. He's going west. The red, white, and blue one has more of a directly south path towards us.
Well, and that black, white, blue, and purple spiral is on the west side, but now that he's dropping, he's beginning to stay pretty much where he is or move a little further west, but for a moment he was moving east.
I think that's 172, the yellow one. Let's see if that comes up right. I don't have a picture.
Kelly Keller's doing great.
I don't think that's it.
She's done really well. Glad, proud for her. I know the Cannon wind flag here at their corporate tent has really slowed down. For a while there it was flapping a good bit, but now it's really quite stable.
So the red, white, and blue one, banner number 62, that's Craig. Yeah, that's Craig Pendleton. Hi, Craig. There we go. He's going to be west of the boat. He's going to go for the land. That's Scott Alsop in Phoenix, and that's the yellow one with the orange darts that we saw. So the two of them split the boat, but they're both going to be close enough to hit that landmass just south of us.
Okay. It's interesting because those two look like they're almost converging on each other from opposite sides of the road.
They are now.
While Kelly Keller is drifting.
They absolutely are.
Yeah, and Kelly Keller continues to drift all the way across the field, moving from the west to the east. She's coming down here to land.
Yeah,
in the
look at how
southeast.
close they're coming.
Yeah, look at them. They're converging right toward
so
each
look
other.
at that. They're at the same altitude, basically.
Opposite sides of the
within a couple
road,
of
and
feet,
it looks like they're
and
about to touch.
converging on
They're
each
so
other.
close. Actually crossing in front of each other now.
He is. There's a touch.
Yep.
There's a touch. I can tell by the.
Yeah, you can see that.
I can tell by the
yellow one rolling off the red, white, and
spin
blue
of the
one.
balloons as we did that. So.
Yeah. That is incredible.
They got it from down there.
And now they're both moving to the east.
Keep tripping over my cable out here.
Yeah, but if you look at those two now, it's almost like once they touched, he changed the momentum of the red, white, and blue balloon, and now they're both sliding off to the east.
Yep. Well, I've told my story about coming in on pole grab, on key grab day, coming in, and I've got a direct line at it. Of course, so does Ray Bear. We came and converged just like those two did, only what we did is when we kind of touched, we split apart and went around the pole. I would have won a car that year if it hadn't have been for that.
Right, yeah. The old left went away. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Do it. There you go. High overhead, you can see a Mojo Rising. We talked to them the other day.
Yeah.
A lot of blue with yellow, white, and orange checks and the yellow pennants around the side. They're the ones with the fancy artwork on that trailer we talked about
that's
the
right.
other day.
Yeah. I'm watching Osito Bimbo, who's still way high and way out there.
Oh yeah.
Having not many racers left in this. I think most of the competitive pilots, who typically are the ones that fly the racers, not many of them left in the air. There is one directly north of us. You can see Art, probably a blue, yellow, kind of a green and purple or pink color, sort of toward the top, looking almost straight down the road, out over propane right now. That's really the only racer I still see in the air.
Yes, I see them. He's actually, is that more? There's another one that looks similar to Maury's, a little bit to the west of that.
Oh, I see that now.
It's got a little more color and less pink in it than Maury's.
Yeah, I see it. More of a silver. It looks more silver and black from my viewpoint here.
Yeah, white, but yes, that would certainly look silver to you.
Oh yeah, okay. Now as I look at it through my binoculars, it's white.
So I'm watching this kind of an eye. I call it an eye shape. You could call it a sideways diamond or something. Big yellow, little bit of maroon in the side, and orange around the outside. That's Elaine Thatcher. I'm Bananas 2, and she's been working this. She's going to be the next one that's going to drop in here. And I've been watching her kind of work the direction and the different altitudes and wind changes here. She's getting just a little bit too much to the east at the moment, I think. And as I look at the flags out on the north end of the field, they look to be blowing to the southeast. Kind of hard to tell the ones on the west. They look to be moving more to the south. She's going to end up too far east. She's drifting pretty a lot to the east now. And that racer we were just talking about with a lot of yellow in the center and the other colors going up and down, he's also going off to the east. There's Elaine's drop just outside the island.
A couple of people asking.
There's a couple smiley faces on the bottom of Elaine's basket that we don't ever used to get to see. Unfortunately, we're watching out the other way, but so if she flies over our stage cam, maybe they can get a shot up at the bottom of Elaine's basket.
A couple of folks are asking if we still do the key grab, and typically we do that later in the week. Usually there are multiple poles, no longer keys for a new car, but usually monetary prizes. And typically we have, about 5 poles out there, I believe?
Yeah, 5 poles.
Yeah.
And different amounts of money on the poles. If you get your ring around the pole, you get the money on the pole. Of course, if multiple people get their rings on the pole, you get to split the money.
Yeah. And another question online.
And we get to award all that on
Saturday.
On Saturday at the awards banquet is when we'll be able to to award all those, not only the money from those, but the nice commemorative dish plate from the Sid Cutter Memorial, which we're flying today. And then, of course, the overall, the top 20 combined scores for the entire week.
Right. Another question online, a lady was asking that says she's disabled because of her back. Would they let me fly? I can tell you there was a time when the answer would be an absolute no. Today, in the last several years, we've had a lot of advancement in the field of technology to flying disabled. There are wheelchair accessible baskets where you can actually roll a wheelchair into a basket, lock it into place, and go flying. There are other types of disabled or accessible baskets that have almost like Recoro racing seats that are on electric platforms where you can get out of the wheelchair. If that's your disability that keeps you in a wheelchair, you can actually get out of it and into one of these seats where you're strapped in, and then the seat is raised electrically to allow you to get high enough to see over the side of the basket, but then coming in for landing, it lowers back down into a more secure position. So yes, there is the capability, depending on the level of disability of a person, to be able to get you into a basket and flown. So being disabled doesn't necessarily mean you can't fly. There are a lot of various accessibility options for ballooning these days. Baskets have doors in them where you can just walk in, or as they say, roll the wheelchair in. So it is a possibility for you. You just have to do a little bit of research, and obviously it would depend on the nature of the disability, but there are wheelchair accessible and other disabled access baskets available.
Well, we talked about Michael Glen, who is in a wheelchair, paraplegic, and he flies the balloons.
Absolutely.
And then our good friend Martin Philpott has one of those baskets you were talking about.
Very true.
That you can literally roll your wheelchair into it and have your chair strapped into the basket for such a flight.
Yep. And Martin
we still
goes
have some
around.
folks making the box here. You go ahead with Martin.
I was going to say Martin goes around to a lot of events doing tether rides, taking disabled people on tether rides. And of course, famously, Serena's song was the original handicapped accessible balloon that appears every year up at Lisle, Illinois at the Eyes to the Skies Balloon Fest that we do up there. But yes, so there are options for disabled persons to be able to take a hot air balloon ride, and it's certainly worth looking into if it's something you want to do. There's the Krispy Kreme balloon coming in for a landing, that beautiful hot juicy donut staring me in the face, which is not a good thing at this hour because I'm getting a bit peckish.
And he flew right by us and didn't drop any donuts either.
I know.
So I'm looking up high and to the south of me, north of you, and I see the AARP balloon basically parked out there. There's a yellow one out there, and above that the IMTS balloon, the white one with the blue and green waves in it. A little higher yet, I see Ray Bear. I believe that's Ray because he'd be flying competition in his balloon Kaleidoscope. And all three of those balloons have not moved in the last couple of minutes. Now the yellow one with the orange and the blue going up, that one he appears to be trying to climb up to that altitude. But it is like dead calm up there, probably about 900 feet.
It looks like Pat Fogue in the IMTS balloon is just parked up there. One of the Bear balloons did land very early right here at the south end of the park. So I don't know if it was Dave or Ray, but one of them did land very early on.
So that could be that could be Dave still flying around up there again with since they're both identical balloons. You know, they both fly them in Colorado Springs. There's a quick landing on the north end.
Yeah, just looking at that, there's a solid impact. And a little bit of ding-dong going on now.
Well, that's what happens when you hit. The weight comes off, so the envelope goes back up, but of course the basket has stopped moving. So they're doing the right thing there. They actually have pulled the top out of the balloon, so now it's going to deflate. It's not going to bounce again. So when you have one of those quick ones, the idea is to go ahead and get the top out, which is exactly what he did, or she.
Rather than TikTok your way back up to altitude. You don't want to do that if you can help it.
Yep. Yeah. No. Because now you're not truly in control of everything.
That's right.
So it's kind of like better to go ahead and pull the top and get control of it on the ground.
And the truck is telling me that it's 9:30, which means we should be seeing smoke out there, right, Art? They'll pop smoke to say the Scoring is closed.
They probably will do that. My watch gives us about 40 seconds.
Okay.
And the radio communication out here is talking about having a countdown to the pilots on the radio to the close of the target. So
okay.
You're right. We're just seconds away from that happening.
So for those in the truck, I think your clock's fast.
It was fast last night by about a minute and a half. That's just how good those guys are. They're fast.
Yeah. So we've actually been signing on at about 6:20, about 5:58 in the morning and 6:28 in the afternoon. Then no wonder I'm so tired. We've been going on.
I've been watching my watch. We're signing on time.
All right. I was gonna say maybe that's why I'm so tired.
So they're folding up the leg of the X right here. And so folding up the leg here is another symbol that says we have closed the target.
That's right.
So the target is closed. So we have hit the 9:30 mark. So I'm not sure we're going to send smoke off, but at least the very visual one, you can always count on the leg of the X being rolled up. And so as you come in, you see it's not really an X anymore. It becomes a V or a T, depending on how many legs they roll up. And so that closes our competition for today.
All right. Well, I think what we'll do, Art, is we'll let you make your way back up here, and I'll do a little bit of summation and wrap up. And thanks for being down in the target zone this morning. Great to have your perspective down there where we could see what was really going on. Great to have our camera down there so we could see those markers in the boat and how close people really were.
So don't sign off till I get up there, I guess. Or talk a lot about America's Challenge tonight. And how we're going to do America's Challenge.
I plan to do that, but you know, I've done this before. I'm a big boy. I can take care of myself up here.
All righty, sir.
All right. So Art,
I'll see you back up there, and if you sign off on us before I get back up there, we'll see everybody again tonight at 6:30. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Art. Art's going to make his way back with our camera from out in the target zone, and they are a bit of a distance away. And so that does bring to a close this morning's activities pretty much. There are still a few balloons in the sky, but with the target zone being closed now, what may happen is a few of these balloons that are still up, if they're able, they may make their way back here to the field and land in the park, because that'll be an option available to them perhaps. But there's really only about, if I look around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, there's only about a dozen, maybe a dozen and a half balloons that I can see still in the air. So for all practical intents and purposes, our flight this morning is over, and certainly the competition has closed. A great start, and Moyer Petrin, who is our two-time defending champion, certainly off to a great start. He was one of, I think, 3 who got their markers in the boat this morning. Nobody on the bow, which was the perfect score, but 3 in the boat, and Moyer was among them. So he's off to a great start in defending his two-time championship, hoping to three-peat while he's here. This then becomes a great time now to do a little shopping for those who are on site here along Main Street. We'll have live entertainment on the stage, I'm sure. The vendors are all open, of course, and happy to see folks and do some business along our Main Street, which is about 1/3 of a mile long, actually. Quite a bit of opportunity to do both shopping for food and drink, as well as for all sorts of items that are balloon related. Some are not, some are just good commercial items, and in other cases there are a number of service organizations also here. All of that found along Main Street. So next up for Balloon Fiesta Live, as Art was saying, would be our coverage this evening coming up of the America's Challenge, the long distance gas balloon race. As Art was saying, we will be back on the air as scheduled at 6:30 p.m. this evening. We expect that the balloon teams will be arriving on the field about 4 o'clock this afternoon to begin their rigging and inflation process. The hydrogen should be available at about that time, I think we were saying, 4 to 5 p.m. this evening. So when we come on at 6:30 tonight, we should be able to show you still a number of the balloon teams. There are 9 international teams participating in the America's Challenge. We'll have the opportunity to show you some of the inflation, especially of the quick fill balloons. And we do have one netted balloon, one older style balloon. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that tonight. And then we'll be here for the launch. All 9 balloons. The balloons launch individually, one at a time, in order that they draw for the launching. And as each balloon team launches, we play their national anthem. That's done at the Gordon Bennett. We do it here at the America's Challenge Race. So it's a whole different type of flying, whole different type of ballooning. And even the launch procedure is quite different from what you normally see if you're watching with us here as we're flying the hot air balloons. Also want to mention to those of you in the area, if you're watching on our TV station, Channel 28, or anywhere at home in the area on the feed via Facebook or YouTube or on balloonfiesta.com, admission into Balloon Fiesta Park for the gas launch tonight is absolutely free. Free parking, free admission. The vendors will be open. There'll be food and drink available. And again, the launch expected to start, I think, about 8 p.m. tonight. That's the plan, is to begin to get them in the air. And by 9 o'clock, hopefully, we should have all 9 teams in the air and on their way. And then, of course, tomorrow we come back with another day of competition. Just like this morning, some of the pilots will fly off the field in a mass ascension of sorts to open the day, followed by another day of competition. And that'll be the target for tomorrow. No activities tomorrow evening. We're off on Tuesday night. Wednesday morning is our Flight of the Nations, where one balloon from each of the 17 participating countries will launch, be the first to fly away. We'll try to identify them for you by their flags and registration numbers as they go away. And then we move on into Thursday and Friday with our special shapes, both flying in the morning, and our rodeo Glowdeos on Thursday and Friday night. And then finally the closing weekend with mass ascensions Saturday and Sunday morning, and a final night twinkle glow, night magic glow actually, on Saturday night. So still a whole bunch of ballooning to come here at Balloon Fiesta Live. We are powered by XTO, an Exxon Mobil subsidiary. So I think despite what Art said, we're going to go ahead and wish you a very good day. We will be back live at 6:30 this evening with Balloon Fiesta Live for the launch of the America's Challenge Gas Balloon Race. So on behalf of Art Lloyd Jr., I'm Glen Moyer. Thank you so much for watching today. We hope you've enjoyed the show and the competition and seeing things from an angle we've never shown you before. We'll see you again tonight at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Do the time conversion for yourself for the launch of the America's Challenge Gas Balloon Race. Until then, have a great day. Goodbye, everybody.
You've been watching Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO Energy, a subsidiary of ExxonMobil. Always in October and always in Albuquerque, the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta is the world's premier ballooning event. This program is a production of AIBF Inc., all rights reserved. Thanks for watching Balloon Fiesta Live.
Blindfold and hit a papier-mâché unicorn to get stuff you want. Just become an AARP member. Your AARP membership comes with access to more of what you want.